since prayer is what brought, he believes, their congregants, Judith and her daughter Natalie Renan, home from Hamas captivity. The FBI says a search is underway for a man who robbed a bank in Waukegan Saturday afternoon. According to the FBI, the robbery happened at a Bank of America branch in the 900 block of South Waukegan Road. According to agents, the man was spotted wearing a dark baseball cap, long-sleeved, button-down, short, dark jeans at the time of that robbery. A suburban high school teacher is dead following a crash in Wheeling. Police say a suspected intoxicated driver was traveling early yesterday when they collided head-on with a vehicle being driven by Robert Gillen on Palatine Road near Wheeling Road. Gillen died, and one other person was seriously hurt. Wakanda Community Unit School District 118 saying Gillen was a math teacher at Wakanda High School. The man serving life in prison for the rape and murder of a Will County girl in 2004 has died. Will County State's Attorney's Office confirming that Scott Eby died in custody. Eby was convicted of the murder of 3-year-old Riley Fox, found dead in a creek not far from her Wilmington home. Will County authorities, you may recall, initially charged her father, Kevin, after police say he confessed to the murder and sexual assault. However, he was released after spending 8 months in jail when DNA evidence completely cleared him of that crime. One person is wounded following a shooting on the Stevenson Expressway. That incident happened early yesterday on the inbound side near its interchange with the Dan Ryan Expressway. The cause of a residential building fire in the Woodlawn neighborhood is under investigation. The blaze began last night in the 2200 block of, 22-story apartment building in the 6400 block of South Stony Island Avenue. With less than 3 weeks before Illinois' gun ban registry deadline kicks in, the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules is preparing to discuss this week revised rules set by the Illinois State Police. Emergency rules were first filed and put into effect September 15. The registry opened October 1. Since then, only 6,100 individuals have disclosed to ISP they owned a so-called banned item. That's 1/4% of the 2.4 million FOID card holders. Second Amendment Foundation Executive Director Alan Gottlieb is not surprised by the low number.
So while they put these things on the books as law, they really don't work, and I think that proves it. The non-compliance rates aren't going to go up very much from where they're at right now.
The law still faces challenges in the federal courts, including 2 pending suits in the U.S. Supreme Court. JCAR co-chair State Senator Bill Cunningham said without a final ruling, the law, he believes, is the law.
We have to assume that the law is constitutional until a court tells us it's not.
JCAR meets in Chicago tomorrow morning to take up the revised rules. Former NHL player and coach Tony Granato said on social media last night he's been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and is taking a leave of absence from his television work. The 59-year-old Granato posted on X that he will begin treatment this week. Granato was fired in March as coach at his alma mater, Wisconsin, after 7 seasons there. Granato grew up in a hockey family in Downers Grove with sister Cammie, the first woman inducted into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame, and brother Don, the head coach of the Buffalo Sabres. The Bears on a winning streak for the first time this season, upsetting the Lions 28-13 at Soldier Field. Justin Fields threw for 223 yards and a score, adding 58 yards on the ground, and DJ Moore 6 balls through the air for 68 yards and a score.
I mean, at that point, you want to convert because I think it was 4th and 12. So that's only a 5-yard penalty. So did a great job of front protecting. I think Tev did a great job selling it and stuff like that. DJ ran up the ball hard. And we practiced that, each and every week. So it was great execution by everyone.
Jalen Johnson and Tremaine Edwards came down with interceptions. The defense 4 sacks. Chicago now visits surging Cleveland next Sunday. Nick Dowd scored a pair of goals to lead Washington to a 4-2 win over the Blackhawks at the UC. Blackhawks had a 2-game winning streak snapped Hawks visit Edmonton tomorrow night. Bulls back in action tonight, visiting the Bucks in Milwaukee, riding a 4-game win streak. The number 18 Fighting Illini faded down the stretch during a weekend loss to number 13 Tennessee, 86-79. The Illini are off until they host Colgate on Sunday. Northwestern ran away with a win over Detroit Mercy. They're now 7-1, and Chicago State is next. And we're still watching college football. North Central College Cardinals are back in the Stag Bowl after a win in the Division III semifinals over the Wartburg Knights, 34-27. North Central went up 20-0 before Wartburg stormed back to take a late lead. Cardinals move on to the national championship game for the 4th straight season, taking on Cortland State University of New York. The Red Dragons are 13-1, ranked number 11 overall. Kickoff in the Stag Bowl 50, is Friday night at 7 p.m. A check of traffic and weather is coming up next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, tunein.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Bettenhausen Mobility is the fastest growing authorized Braun Ability dealer serving the Chicagoland area. Bettenhausen offers a complete lineup of wheelchair accessible vehicles with the options to fit all your mobility needs. As a Braun Ability dealer, Bettenhausen Mobility can provide sales and service to all accessible vehicles and mobility solutions on several makes and models. Whether you need side entry with manual or power operation or different ramp options, Bettenhausen Mobility has a solution for you. Showroom open at BettenhausenMobility.com.
The holidays are here again, and it's really getting cold outside. It's time to snuggle up by the fireplace with a delicious mug full of Bob's Belgian hot chocolate. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Each sip is so rich, so luxurious, and oh so chocolatey. Bob makes his hot chocolate with 100% imported Belgian chocolate, and it's so easy to make. You just stir it into hot milk and voila! You just made yourself the best hot chocolate ever. You can buy Bob's Belgian hot chocolate mix and sticks online at bobsbelgianhotchocolate.com or visit us at Chris Kindle Markets at Daily Plaza, Wrigley, and Aurora. Come on out and join in on all of the holiday fun with visitors from all over the world. We can click our glasses and wish each other good cheer with a delicious mug full of Bob's Belgian hot chocolate. Oh my gosh, it's so good. bobsbelgianhotchocolate.com.
Unsolicited endorsement. If you don't have Bob's Belgian hot chocolate this Christmas, you are missing out. It's 5:12 on AM 560, The Answer. We're looking at the roads now in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and we've got a developing situation to tell you about. Right now, 167th between Center and Halstead, completely shut down. There are multiple semis and trailers on fire. Fire is staging in South Holland now at 167 in Lathrop. It's now a level 1 hazmat, and it is a tough situation right now for firefighters. 167th shut down between Center and Halstead. That's in South Holland this morning. Let's look at traffic. A service of Boost Infinite new wireless technology, giving you 3 networks for the price of 1. Switch today. Visit boostinfinite.com, boostinfinite.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, mostly cloudy skies. Our high today, 38. Clear to partly cloudy for tonight, low 30. Sunny to partly cloudy for tomorrow, the high again 38. Sunny skies Wednesday, the high Wednesday afternoon at 41. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
29 O'Hare, 30 Midway, 27 Aurora, 28 in Morris, and 30 along the lakefront. Your next news update is 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
So what's the trouble here, mister?
I don't understand what happened. I checked my stuff in Chicago, and when we landed in L.A., I came to baggage claim, and there it was, my $10,000 Canomal analyzer in pieces, completely trashed.
Just the facts, buddy. What did you have it packed in?
Well, just the box it came in, but there was all this foam and thick cardboard. It looked sturdy enough.
That's what they all think, pal, till it's too late.
What am I gonna do now? My boss is gonna kill me.
Here's some good advice for you. The next time you transport anything valuable, put it in a Star case, leading manufacturer of custom reusable shipping cases.
So where do I get a Star case?
Now you're getting smart, bub. You can find everything you need to know to order one direct at starcase.com or call 800-822-STAR, where a friendly, knowledgeable sales engineer will be glad to help you design the custom case you need. That's starcase.com or 800-822-7827.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
When the stock market struggles, when inflation is high, you need to start looking through the inventory of all your accounts and say, is every one of these investments working as hard as it could be? Because every month during high inflation that you waste, you're losing 8 or 9% a year.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
There's a good chance you need a new tractor, something durable and reliable. But in today's world, it has to be affordable. A tractor that'll help you get the job done quickly, efficiently, and with no hassle ownership. The new name in compact tractors is TYM. So here's what you do. Go to TYMoffers.com, check out the full model lineup, and get the best deals of the year. TYMoffers.com. Go there now, TYMoffers.com, and you can thank me later.
Would you go to court without a lawyer when the other guy is lawyered up? Or are you going to go it alone and learn law and procedure as you go? When you have an insurance claim for your home or business, it's the same thing.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company.
Insurance companies will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them. Not you.
If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%, and we could do the same for you. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom. Building trust for over 20 years.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 25-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
There's no ignoring it. Americans know they've been lied to by the ruling class, that politicians want more control over their lives and more taxes for nonsense. Who voted for this, and how do we get back to normal? It starts by being informed. But who do you trust when the media censors information and colludes with those in charge for their own political power? Breakthrough Ideas is a beacon of clarity in the storm of politics. At Breakthrough, Jeannie Ives and her team follows the legislation and the money and reports back to you so you know who's on your side. Elections matter. Be an informed voter. You can do that by listening to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. right here on AM 560. Visit breakthrough-ideas.com to sign up for the newsletter, register for upcoming events, and stay informed with fresh content. Then connect with them on social media and share information with others. So together, we vote out the radicals and vote in common sense. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
It's obvious the unthinkable continues. Most Americans know something very wrong is happening. People in charge keep telling you that everything's fine and to stop noticing. But you know better. That's why self-reliant folks are investing in emergency food storage. You should too. My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, are the ones you can trust. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contains tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Save $200 on each 3-month food kit you purchase. My Patriot Supply also sells solar generators, gravity-powered water filters, off-grid room heaters for when the power goes out, heirloom seeds, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your items ship that same day and arrive quickly on your doorstep in unmarked boxes. Go to mypatriotsupply.com today. Time is running out to prepare for what's coming. mypatriotsupply.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Cause they got the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus beat.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We kick off this week with Campus Beat because it's been so central to our discussion of what happened with post the terrorist attack by Hamas, murdering 1,200 Israelis on October 7th, and also what it reveals about the state of higher education, in particular in America. Well, after their what should have been career-ending testimony before a House committee last week, I'm talking about the presidents of Harvard, Penn, and MIT. It turned out to be a career-ending, at least in terms of being a university president for one of them. On Friday, the chairman of the Board of Trustees at Penn, I write to share that President Liz McGill has voluntarily tendered her resignation as president of the University of Pennsylvania. Wonderful, but there's good news. Don't go shedding those tears for Liz McGill. She will stay on as law school faculty because, of course, of tenure. So the reckoning has started. Is that what you think? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Well, what about the president of Harvard? What about her?
Claudine Gay apologized.
Claudine Gay. Well, so did the president of Penn. Her non-apology.
I understand.
So
I understand.
They're cut from the same cloth. They said similar testimony in front of Congress.
Neither could bring themselves to provide moral clarity on the issue of whether advocacy for the genocide of the Jews is something that would violate the campus code of conduct. It was remarkable testimony. It was expository in the sense that you see these university presidents of these status schools for the pseudo-intellectuals that they are. These are not academics. These are identitarian bean counters, and whose brains have been completely addled by HR DEI rap. So that's the only language in which they can speak, which is why you heard the middling rhetoric about the need for context when it comes to calls for genocide. It was something. It's something when Elise Stefanik, who by no means is an astrophysicist, got the better of the presidents of what are supposed to be some of the best universities in the world. But that's college campuses now. Victor Davis Hanson commenting on this and the recent testimonies. Do not believe that any are too sincere about their apologies or and any sort of other hand-wringing coming from these institutions. Because what's the situation on campus, they're still more afraid of their DEI woke hard-left faculty and students than they are of alumni donors or us, the taxpayers. Yeah, that's a key point. So, people look at the Ross Stevens letter. This is, one of these hedge fund billionaires who committed $100 million to Penn, but said he's rescinding his offer if Liz McGill isn't terminated. She gets ousted, and so now will Stevens commit the $100 million? If he does, then he doesn't understand what's happening at Penn, which we've been saying since the outset of this, because, of course, we've been covering college campuses for these many years before the mega donors and so many others who rah for their alma mater were not tuned in to what these universities had become.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
And I go back to Heather McDonald's piece from last week. This is a key point. First of all, the university has no capacity to eliminate quote-unquote hate, nor is that its mission. In the name of rejecting hate, they propagated it. They built their DEI bureaucracies in the first place and allowed bureaucrats and their faculty sympathizers to put certain ideas and facts off limits. The real issue on campuses, writes McDonald, isn't anti-Semitism, but the anti-Western ethos that has colonized large swaths of the curriculum. Elite schools once disdained Jews because they were seen as outsiders to Western civilization. Now they are reviled as civilization's very embodiment. Students explain that their hatreds come from what they learn in class, that the West is built on white supremacism and oppression. Israel is cast as the Western settler colonist oppressor par excellence. I mean, if you don't understand what that is, what Heather McDonald is describing is the reality on campus, then of course you're going to be stunned when you hear the testimony you heard from those university presidents. Of course, you're going to be scratching your head. Well, what is going on at Penn and Harvard? You're going to say, oh, well, if Liz McGill is fired, then all is right at Penn again. No, it's not.
No, it's not. And then she's going to still stay on campus. She's still going to be teaching the law department.
And there's no reason to believe that whatever replaces her won't be worse.
She's still having access to our children.
Mike in Littleton, Colorado.
Hey, good morning, happy Monday, and thanks for taking my call. You're absolutely right. I mean, this lady stepping down means nothing. The direction of the school hasn't changed. And you rightly corrected me last week when you said, well, you know what, Mike, people send their kids to these schools to get connections. The criminals in this are the parents, because they're trading off their children's souls, really, for these connections and network and all that. It's a damn shame. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Just going back to Heather McDonald, because one of the other olive branches that's been extended by these DEI apparatchiks is we're going to set up a center for the study of anti-Semitism. You're going to...
oh, that'll make it better.
You're going to cure the identitarian poison on campus with more identitarianism. Going back to McDonald again, gerrymandering Jews into a quote-unquote oppressed class for DI purposes wouldn't do anything to prevent the sort of classroom propaganda that we've seen, which college leaders are at pains not to address. Since October 7th, presidents and faculty have routinely spoken of the interconnectedness of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Who is found at this intersection? White supremacists, former Trump administration officials, evangelical Christians, white opponents of mass immigration from Muslim countries, and so forth. None of these supposed oppressors play a significant role in pro-Hamas campus protests. The actual protesters, Muslims, Black Lives Matter activists, Queers for Palestine, socialist groups, and proponents of the anti-Israel BDS movement, went unmentioned and go unmentioned, as a matter of course. So, this is where you get, and this is the explanation for we're going to set up a center for the study of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia.
Right.
Because it's the white male Christian, white heterosexual male Christian, essentially, that is the real bête noire of all of these oppressed groups. And so that's their response to their allies, a favorite word, being the responsible party for the ugliness and hate, and in some cases violence, you see in and around campus.
Did you watch Saturday Night Live? The open was this, and they made it look like Stefanik was embarrassing herself instead of the 3 university presidents.
SNL is.
I know. Well, Adam Driver was the host, and I love him, and it was. But
he's a good actor, but
he's really good.
I saw it, but it was
embarrassing,
tone deaf, and it's not funny. They're just
What made them
small,
look
venal, pathetic, untalented people, really. And you could say the same. The university presidents, the SNL cast, you could apply the same adjectives.
Yeah, they're cut from the same cloth.
Terry in Rogers Park.
Hey, I read in a magazine about what caused college students to no longer have American patriotism. It started during World War II when German university professors fled Germany in the 1930s to America and slowly taught the students their ideals, such as hatred of Jews.
All right, thanks for the call, Terry. Coming up at 5:38. New Wall Street Journal poll has Trump ahead of Biden, and that spells trouble for those competitors to Trump who suggest that only they can win. We'll start there at 5:38.
And later, when did blocking traffic become free speech? We'll explain. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
29 degrees this morning. At 5:30 on AM 560, The Answer, Israeli forces are battling Palestinian terrorists in Gaza's 2 largest cities this morning. Israel has now actually pledged to keep fighting until it removes Hamas from power, dismantles its military capability, and returns all hostages taken by the terrorists during the Hamas October 7 surprise attack. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders says he is backing Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas, but the U.S. simply cannot give Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a blank check.
It would be irresponsible for the United States to give Netanyahu another $10 billion to continue to wage this awful war.
The military said 5 soldiers were killed in battle in southern Gaza on Sunday. Central Tennessee residents and emergency workers are digging out from devastating weekend storms that killed 6, toppled houses, and cut power to tens of thousands. Government officials confirmed that 3 died after a tornado struck near Montgomery County, just north of Nashville, Saturday afternoon.
We have people who are suffering because of loss of life and injuries. One thing I love about this city, when there's a need, we rally around that need, and then we had neighbor helping neighbor.
Montgomery County Emergency Services Chief Jimmy Edwards says there were a number of injuries that needed to be treated.
9 have been transferred to the Vanderbilt Medical Center, placed their conditions in critical, unstable condition.
Nashville Emergency Operations Center confirming 3 others were killed as a result of tornadoes near a neighborhood in downtown Nashville. Divers have recovered the remains of the 7th of 8 crew members from a U.S. military Osprey aircraft that crashed off southern Japan during a training mission. Former President Trump now says he will not be testifying this morning in his fraud trial in Lower Manhattan, the decision announced by Trump himself on social media. Former Congresswoman Liz Cheney says she's not ruling out any options in her efforts to try and stop former President Trump from returning to the White House.
It's going to require making an assessment about sort of how we can most effectively mobilize people in both parties and mobilize independents, frankly, to stand against Donald Trump.
Speaking on ABC's This Week, the Wyoming Republican acknowledged a major backlash within her own party, losing by a wide margin to a Trump-endorsed candidate in the 2022 Wyoming Republican primary. In other news we are following this morning, authorities are trying to determine what caused a massive fire at the abandoned Emerson High School in Gary, Indiana, Saturday night. The school was known for its 1927 student boycott. After 18 African-American students were transferred to the school was shut down in 2008. Charges have been filed against a woman accused of killing a man and injuring 3 others in a shooting on the city's west side. According to Chicago police, 23-year-old Deja Collins, a Garfield Park resident, has been charged with first-degree murder. She appeared in court on Saturday afternoon. The Bears on a winning streak for the first time this season, upsetting the Lions 28-13 at Soldier Field. Jalen Johnson and Tremaine Edwards came down with interceptions, the defense combining for 4 sacks, and Chicago will visit surging Cleveland next Sunday. Nick Dowd scored a pair of goals to lead the Capitals to a 4-2 win over the Blackhawks at the UC. It's 5:34. We'll have a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2023 Food for the Poor campaign.
As many of you already know, Food for the Poor is a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
Right now, millions of families and children are experiencing the devastating effects of economic decline and rising food prices.
For many, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners who are providing life-saving food relief on the ground. But in order to get the food to those who need it, Food for the Poor needs your help. Thanks to a generous match, your one-time gift of just $80 can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year.
To make that gift, just call 844-862-4673.
Visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner, and thank you so much for your generosity.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, here to tell you about our upcoming gun and ammo auction on Saturday and Sunday, December 16th and 17th. All guns sell on Saturday, December 16th. You can view them all online now at DonnellyAuctions.com or at our auction house in Union on Friday, December 15th. Sunday, December 17th features thousands of rounds of ammunition of all calibers, as well as reloading equipment and a selection of fishing and hunting gear. This is a live auction that you can attend in person or bid online from the comfort of your home. State and federal gun laws apply. Donnelly Auctions is a federal licensed firearms dealer, so you can always be assured that buying or selling at Donnelly's is safe, legal, and confidential. We're located just 45 minutes northwest of O'Hare Airport, just off I-90. Go to DonnellyAuctions.com for full details. That's DonnellyAuctions.com. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction on December 16th and 17th.
Attention! Road Knights is expanding the Army. If you possess the heart of a warrior, the spirit of an adventurer, and an unrelenting drive to conquer new horizons with 3,000 miles weekly under your wheels, then hurry to call. Join the team that is strong as steel and united as convoy, and be on the road towards the glory. Have you had your commercial driver's license for over 2 years? Are you looking for an over-the-road driving job for the smoothest running, most established trucking company in the Midwest? This is not just a driving job. This is a mission. Visit online at roadnights.us or call 773-672-2062. That's 773-672-2062. Or online at roadnights.us. Call or email today for details on a life-changing opportunity to drive for the best in the business. Victory is the only option. Road Knights Trucking. Join our mission today.
The holiday season is right around the corner. Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. Give them a Steel. Visit your local Steel dealer or go to steelusa.com/gift guide.
5:38 on AM 560, The Answer. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time will start in South Holland. The area of 167th between Center Avenue and Halstead remains shut down. There are multiple semi-tractor trailers on fire. Staging is near 167 in Lathrop. It's also a hazardous materials situation. That's in South Holland along 167 this morning. The Bishop Ford jamming into the Ryan merge as the Ryan builds early between 95th and 87th. 14 minutes in from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Considerable clouds and a high of 38 today. Clear to partly cloudy and 30 overnight. Some sunshine tomorrow, high 38. Currently 29 at O'Hare, 30 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We thought last week was the final debate for the GOP presidential contenders, not named Trump, before the Iowa caucus on January 15th, but maybe not.
Why? What's going on?
CNN announcing that it will hold 2 Republican presidential debates, one before the Iowa caucus on January 10th and one before the New Hampshire primary on January 21st. Now, these debates are not sanctioned by the RNC, and so one wonders, and this is an open question last I saw, if the RNC will allow the candidates out of their exclusivity promise in order to participate in the CNN debate, if they would even like to. I don't know.
Why would they go why would they go there?
The only reason I could see them going there is would be to do the same thing that Vivek Ramaswamy did in the debate that was moderated by Welker and Holt and our friend Hugh Hewitt. But Welker and Holt was the focus, of course, and NBC. The only reason to go there was if the 4 candidates would collude, even if Christie doesn't want to, the other 3 candidates would collude to make the entire debate an attack on CNN. And just don't debate each other. Debate the CNN moderators. Let's talk about your 2 years of Russian collusion coverage. Let's talk about,
let's talk about the fact that you didn't realize, you wouldn't acknowledge that it was Hunter Biden's laptop.
Exactly.
You wouldn't report on the story.
There's a wealth of topics to cover when it comes to CNN's reporting, in quotation marks, and also each personality, a full proctological exam of each, not only moderator, whoever those would be, but all the CNN on-air talent, again, in quotation marks.
It'd be Dana Bash, Jake Tapper.
Oh,
maybe Wolf Blitzer.
That'd be fine. You could go over Jake Tapper's bootlicking of Al Gore over the weekend and repeating things that are not backed up by any sort of peer-reviewed science about climate change against the backdrop of the COP28 conference last week into this week. It's just a 2 hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it would be, would not be enough time for all the candidates to cover all of CNN's misinformation and all of their propaganda spewing that misinformation. So that could be fun.
I don't know.
But
I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it.
I suspect you can only get sort of agreement from Ramaswamy and DeSantis to focus, and everybody else. Haley and Christie would probably not want to comply, and then it would be so. Yeah, I don't know.
Chris Christie would not. He's on CNN all the time. Those are his buddies over there. So
of course he is. Of course he is. Any Republican that spends all their time attacking conservatives or Trump is going to have welcome home at CNN and MSNBC. All the old network affiliates and then their cable partners. Of course. That's Bush hacks like Matthew Dowd have made a career out of that. All of these hacks. Mike Murphy used to be on Meet the Press. That's what you do. You want to be accepted by the big government media inside the Beltway as a Republican. Well, just be a Republican who defecates on conservatism and conservatives. That's all. Simple. And then you got you get snapped up and a nice little contributor gig just like that. You may even get your own show out of it at some point. Anyway, so I just updating the debate, so you may get one final look at the candidates before Iowa, or I guess Iowans might get one final look at the candidates before they caucus. Maybe that would be useful, though, for DeSantis, so that he can remind his supporters in advance of the caucus, which would be 5 days later, debate the 10th, caucus the 15th, that his lovely wife, Casey, in her exuberance, said something that is not the case, and so we can't do this on caucus day.
I think it's going to be pretty exciting. And also, Martha, I'd tell you this. We have a huge coalition across the United States of America of mothers and grandmoms. When the governor was reelected, we had a coalition of 1.1 million mothers and grandmoms in the state of Florida. That was the largest that had ever been done in the history of our state, and probably, I would argue, across the nation. We're asking all of these moms and grandmoms to come from wherever it might be, North Carolina, South Carolina, and to descend upon the state of Iowa to be a part of the caucus, because you do not have to be a resident of Iowa to be able to participate in the caucus. So moms and grandmoms are going to be able to come and be a part and to let their voice be heard in support of Ron DeSantis.
All right.
No. 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 As is the case in every other state, you have to be a resident of the state to participate in the election, at least legally.
Oh, boy. That's bad. Because you voted in a caucus, didn't you? Or no, you didn't.
No, I didn't vote.
I did.
Right.
I voted in a caucus.
Well, if you're registered to vote in Iowa.
I was registered to vote. The first time I was 18 years old. I was so excited. I got to see George H.W. Bush, and I met Barbara. They were in our dorm room at Stanley in the foyer. They talked to us for about 10 minutes and then left. And then, the next day we had to vote, and we passed a shoebox around. It was so cool.
When you saw Barbara Bush, did you say, "Hey, you're that chick on the Quaker Oats thing"?
You talk about stoic and trying to be friends. She had, the pearls on, and she was just looking up in the air and just I did no reaction. No, she was not gregarious. She was not, she scared me.
Yeah,
okay,
well,
I'll be
anyway,
honest with you. But anyway, so yeah, you have to be a resident.
Right. This just in, you have to be a resident of the state in which you vote. Okay,
God,
Casey.
Casey, please stop.
Right. The Republican Party felt compelled to post, remember, you must be a legal resident of Iowa and the precinct you live in, and bring a photo ID with you to participate in the caucus. Read more on our caucus site, and with the link, and the Des Moines Register issued explanation of how, yes, you have to be an Iowan to participate in Iowa's election. Okay, but I mean,
they do register a lot of students, though.
Yeah. So she got that wrong. I'm not saying, obviously, if you're going to say something like that publicly, she was just mistaken. It's okay. I'm not making a big deal of it, and you can understand why Casey DeSantis could be confused after reading the news that at least 5,600 federal-only ballots cast in the Arizona 2020 election were done so without proof of U.S. citizenship.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Arizona has bifurcated elections in which residents who provide proof of U.S. citizenship can vote in all elections, while others may only vote in federal elections. That results in ballots cast by voters who haven't proven their U.S. citizenship. Arizona law requires residents registering to vote in the state to provide proof of citizenship. So those without documentation are ineligible to vote in state elections and register as federal-only voters, according to the Associated Press. Last year, Arizona enacted a law that requires counties to check federal-only voters for citizenship against multiple databases. Last year, after what transpired in 2020, of course. The counties must reject any federal applications if they find an individual is not a U.S. citizen. The Justice Department had sued Arizona over this new law in July of 2022 because, of course, this Justice Department or this president is fine with people who are non-citizens voting, living here, accessing benefits, serving in the military, serving as police officers, so on and so forth. You get it. So anyway, yeah, so that's a bit confusing too. So you can understand why people are confused about who gets to vote where, because with the Democrat socialists, it's pretty much whoever we need, wherever we need them. So, yeah, again, I understand why lovely Casey was confounded a bit on this. Ken Langone, we gave you Bernie Marcus, co-founder of Home Depot, in his support of his announcement that he was supporting Trump, that it's time to end this and rally behind Trump. He's going to be the nominee. Well, his co-founder, Ken Langone of Home Depot, had something else to say to Neil Cavuto on the topic.
You had a chance also to support the present front runner, Donald Trump. He beats Joe Biden in all these polls, so why not Donald Trump?
Look, I think his time has come and gone. Unfortunately, the last 3 months of his presidency certainly did not speak well of him, not in my mind anyway. I admired what Al Gore did in 2000 when David Boies said there was still a chance of fighting Bush in court, and Gore said, the American people have had enough, we're done. He put the American people ahead of him. What Trump put this country through for the last 3 months of his presidency was disgraceful. I'm sorry. And I think, frankly, that to me ruined his chances to succeed himself at some point. So, I think what happened on January 6th, all he had to say was, please go home. You made known your feelings, now go home. He sat in a room and watched it for 3 hours, did nothing about it.
So
America's better than that, and America deserves better than that, Neil.
Understood. So,
Mr. Langone, just in terms of your recollection of 2000, the Bush v. Gore decision was handed down by the Supreme Court, as I recall. So Al Gore. So we don't want to put America through this and litigate the issue? They did litigate the issue all the way to the Supreme Court.
Oh, who can't forget the hanging chads?
So I don't know about all that. The January 6th, what people thought happened on January 6th and what's coming into focus about January 6th seem to be two decidedly different things. Not that there were not people who committed illegal acts, but
I think a lot of the instigators might have been undercover FBI agents.
Regardless, to put that at the doorstep of Donald Trump, his legal team did not afford him well, and it was really a mess, and it was not particularly professional or confidence-inspiring. But to make that a disqualifier, Ken Langone can elevate anything to a threshold in terms of qualification that he wants, but I just don't find that particularly persuasive. By the way, neither do a plurality of voters, apparently, because the Wall Street Journal poll out over the weekend has Biden with his lowest job performance marks to date, Trump up 4 points on him in a one-on-one matchup, a lead that expands to 6 when 5 potential third-party and independent candidates are added to the mix. But they take a combined 17% of the support, with RFK Jr. drawing the most at 8%. So, again, the idea that these third-party candidates are RFK Jr.'s and
Cornel West
and lessers, that's going to somehow benefit Biden. Again, the polling to date has not shown that. Whether you just include RFK or you include RFK and Cornel West and Marianne Williamson, the polling just has not shown that. So, again, you could argue that there's some polling has Nikki Haley beating Biden by more right now.
Well, that was the shocking part of the Wall Street Journal poll, I thought. I mean, it had her up 17 points over President Biden, but she'd have to beat President Trump in the primary.
Again, it's just a difficult political argument to make when you start by saying Trump can't win, that's why you have to go with me, and then it's Trump can win, but I can win by more. Trump can win, but I can win by more is not going to depose a former president of the United States. I'm sorry. Is that, I mean, I think that's fairly clear to everyone, but yeah. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Well, I don't think she's going to win Iowa or New Hampshire, but she's definitely going to win South Carolina.
How is that?
I mean, do you know?
Definitely going to happen?
I mean, where is she? No, I don't know what the polling is in South Carolina, but I thought South Carolinians loved her. But we'll find out. Who do they love more?
You don't know? Well,
I don't know. I'm asking you. I don't know.
Well, she's definitely not going to win South Carolina.
Okay.
I mean, the national polling out over the weekend has Trump up like 50, 55 points overall, and that turns out to translate state by state when you have that big a lead. So he's up everywhere. And if Trump wins Iowa and New Hampshire, then it becomes a snowball rolling downhill into South Carolina, Super Tuesday, Florida a couple weeks later. I mean, it's if you don't stop Trump in Iowa or New Hampshire, if somebody doesn't, or some buddies maybe, DeSantis in one and Haley or something in the other, then people are going to, voters, if not the candidates, will concede that this thing is done. My momentum, as we talked to Noel Rothman about last week, he was right. Momentum is a real thing when it comes to this state-by-state process for the presidential nominations. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost. There is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Just talking to newlywed Justin Kosick during the break, and guess what? He has not gone Christmas shopping yet for his lovely new bride. Have you? Well, we're going to make it easy for you. We're going to tell you about the luxurious Smooth Seduction Satin getup we got going right now. It's a nightie and a robe plus a free satin eye mask in case you want to block out the light. And it's all wrapped in an elegant satin keepsake bag. Order it now. Go to pajamagram.com. Tell them Dan and Amy sent you, because if you wait, it will sell out. We're making it so easy for you to give the gift of love that keeps on giving throughout the year. Again, 4 gifts delivered right to your door, ready to go under the tree. Silky, sensuous, glides over the skin, designed to make her feel amazing and drive you wild. Don't wait. Pajamagram.com, pajamagram.com, and tell them Dan and Amy sent you. Oh, yeah.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank that cares about your business and is invested in your success. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Chris Johnson, CEO of Classic Cinemas and proud customer of Signature Bank. We are a local family-owned business that is known for free refills on all sizes of popcorn, soft drinks, and ices. With over 9,000 heated recliners in 16 locations, we marry the traditions of the past with today's state-of-the-art technology. Throw in a 30-minute guarantee and an after-movie mint, and you have the perfect night out. As we strive to make every guest our priority, Signature Bank does the same with their customers. The team at Signature Bank is interested in taking my company forward. They have all the resources and solutions of the big banks, but they customize their offerings to meet my business needs. The customer always comes first with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, Dan, you're right. She's solidly in second place in South Carolina right now.
Yeah.
All right.
But, I mean, the 17-point spread that she had in the journal poll, I mean, is something that she will undoubtedly tout. I mean, that is...
I would.
Yeah, that's all she's got.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
By the way, also in that, DeSantis was 45-45 with Biden, so that doesn't really help his messaging very much. Coming up at 6:06, an important message from the CDC director about COVID.
Ugh. And later, were you stuck in it? Blocking traffic is not free speech. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
The annual celebration honoring Our Lady of Guadalupe begins this morning. Person has been found dead after a fire in a north side apartment complex, and authorities are trying to determine what caused a massive fire at an abandoned high school in Gary, Indiana. Bears winners over the Lions. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Surrender. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is urging Hamas militants to do.
It will take more time. The war is in full swing, but this is the beginning of the end of Hamas.
As the intense battles rage in northern Gaza and around Khan Yunis in the south, where the UN warns of a humanitarian catastrophe for civilians. More than 17,000 Palestinians have been killed. And Fox's Trey Yingst reports from Israel.
There are concerns that Hamas and Islamic Jihad could try to put new pressure and increase their threats against Israel when it comes to those 137 hostages still held in the Strip.
As for those hostages, Israel now says 20 of them are dead. It's 117 still held captive. Hamas warns none may get out alive unless demands are met. A U.S. Air Force F-16 fighter jet crashed into the sea off South Korea's coast.
During a routine training flight out of Kunsan Air Base in the southwest of South Korea, the aircraft crashed into the Yellow Sea after the pilot safely ejected. They were recovered by South Korean maritime forces and are said to be awake and in a stable condition.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Off the coast of Japan, the U.S. has recovered the remains of a seventh crew member on the U.S. Air Force Osprey aircraft that crashed last month. 6 others have also been found dead. 1 remains missing. There are still nearly 20,000 power outages in Tennessee after weekend tornadoes left 6 people dead, dozens more injured in the Nashville area.
With loss of power and homes to contend with, Emergency Management Director William Swan says another hazard is out there.
There is a lot of gas main breaks. So you'll see our teams out trying to control that and isolate.
He urged residents to let crews work to lessen that danger.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Former President Trump's changed his mind. He won't testify again today. The Trump Organization's civil fraud trial, as had been planned. Instead, he wrote on Truth Social, he's already very successfully testified it, again calling it a witch hunt. America's listening to Fox News.
29 degrees. 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. The annual celebration honoring Our Lady of Guadalupe begins this morning. Thousands have already started making that pilgrimage. Celebrations actually kick off later today with more than 200,000 expected to visit the shrine. A person was found dead after a fire in a Northside apartment complex early this morning. Chicago police responded around 2 a.m. to a fire at an apartment complex in the 1900 block of West Fargo. The man was pronounced dead at the scene. His identity has not been released. Authorities are also trying to determine what caused a massive fire at the abandoned Emerson High School in Gary, Indiana. Flames caused severe damage and the collapse of most of that roof. School was abandoned in 2008. Charges have been filed against a woman accused of killing a man and injuring 3 others in a shooting on the city's west side. 23-year-old Deja Collins, a Garfield Park resident, has been charged with first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder. The FBI says search is underway for a man who robbed a bank in Waukegan on Saturday afternoon. According to the FBI, the robbery happened at the Bank of America branch in the 900 block of South Waukegan Road. And a suburban high school teacher is dead following a crash in Wheeling. Police say a suspected intoxicated driver was traveling early yesterday when they collided head-on with a vehicle being driven by Robert Gillen on Palatine Road near Wheeling Road. Wakanda Community Unit School District 118 saying Gillen was a math teacher at Wakanda High School. Bears on a winning streak for the first time this season, upsetting the Lions 28-13 at Soldier Field. Bears tight end Cole Kmet says the team wasn't going to let Detroit back in this game.
There was kind of a sentiment that you knew that we'd get in that situation, and football kind of has a way of doing that to you. You find yourselves in similar situations you've been in the past, and you got to be able to use the situations that you've had in the past and learn from them. And, I thought we finished it out really well today. Jalen
Johnson, Tremaine Edwards had interceptions. Defense combines for 4 sacks. And Chicago visits surging Cleveland next Sunday. Nick Dowd scored a pair of goals to lead the Capitals to a 4-2 win over the Blackhawks at the United Center. Bulls back in action tonight, visiting the Bucks in Milwaukee, riding a 4-game win streak. The news, a service of the AM 560 store. Order T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2024? Yeah, that sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560, The Answer, wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you can have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson here, and if you're a small business owner or you make the marketing or advertising decisions for a business, then this message is for you.
Our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway, and this year we're helping to raise money for children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean who are desperate for access to food.
Millions of people, including many children, are suffering during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food prices.
Here's how you and your business can be part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor, and AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
It's the best deal in all of Chicago radio.
Just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951, or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
Why should the Federal Reserve have so much power over your IRA or 401k? Whether they create a new bubble with low interest rates or pop the last bubble with high interest rates, a group of unelected government officials has no business deciding your future. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is just one more reason why I recommend a physical gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Because precious metals are the best way to maintain your financial independence. And now you can hold gold inside of a tax-advantaged account. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
It's really important that we take care of ourselves for our sake and the sake of our family. Taking balance of nature, I just feel better.
I'm active. My wife and I go to the gym 7 days a week. If the weather's nice like a day like this, I ride my bike. I've been taking balance of nature for the past 20 years. I won't give it up.
I take balance of nature because it makes me feel great. I really thought that they paid people to say that stuff. And then I tried it. I was surprised. Balance of nature really was the game changer. I'm serious, it works.
Celebrate Christmas with us. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It is 6:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start on the Edens Expressway. There is a stall inbound on the off-ramp to Toohey, 15 minutes and climbing right now from Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy Express lanes have a left shoulder block for emergency repairs. Crews are working on the outbound gates at Diversey after one of the chains that pull it closed broke. Express lanes inbound at Diversey are all locked up this morning. Outbound on the Kennedy, delays of 24 minutes outbound to the big airport. And the Ike is at 30 minutes and climbing already, 390 into the old post office. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, considerable cloudiness. Our high today, 38. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 30. Sunny to partly cloudy for tomorrow, the high again at 38. And then plenty of sun on Wednesday. High Wednesday afternoon, 41. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
29 at O'Hare, 30 at Midway, 30 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 6:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Please stay tuned for this important message from CDC Director Mandy Cohen, a noted Rochelle Walensky impersonator.
Get your updated COVID and flu vaccines and your RSV vaccine if you're over 60. It's not too late to get vaccinated if you haven't already. And use additional layers of protection, like avoiding people who are sick, washing your hands, improving ventilation, and wearing a mask. And if you do get sick, I know it's hard, but stay home so you don't spread germs to others. And get tested so you know what you have and you can get treatment.
All right, there you go. Break out those idiot circles, too, while you're at it.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. Just in time for Christmas.
Absolutely.
But I don't think people realize you still, if you report that you have COVID, if you're a CPS student or a faculty, you are locked out of that building for 5 days. Now, you could test positive and have no symptoms and you feel fine, you're great, you want to go back to school. No, can't go back to school. You called that hotline number or you emailed them. They lock you out. And there's still, 72 universities that have COVID vaccine mandates. I told you about my friend at University of Michigan. They had to get him an apartment because they were not going to get him vaccinated. I mean, he has the 2 shots. They're done. And they had to rent him an apartment for him in order to go to the university. Because you have to, if you live in the dorms, you have to be vaccinated and boosted, Dan. Isn't that fun?
Old COVID habits die hard. There's no question about it. Just a couple of notes in terms of some things that are interesting, both science and data, because I know all the COVIDians are men and women of science and data, as well as litigation in Texas. That's interesting. First, on masks, I mean, just another meta study to throw onto the pile. Recently published in the British Medical Journal's Archives of Disease in Childhood was a review of 22 observational studies about mask wearing in children, so assessing mask mandates. And in the best case, mask wearing has no measurable effect on infection. So the mask mandates for kids has no measurable positive impact on preventing an infection. Best case scenario. The worst case scenario is all the things we talked about when mask mandates were in full force with respect to kids in terms of their ability to communicate, their intellectual development, the
Oh, right.
The bacteria that collects in masks that aren't washed. I mean, just all of those things.
I know. Don't even. My sister teaches preschool, and they were just soaking wet, and the kids were chewing on them, and they'd have to replace them.
In fact, self-reported COVID infection was higher the more often people said they wore masks, according to a Norwegian study that was published in the Cambridge University Press journal, Epidemiology and Infection. So, okay. All right. I just keeping people updated on the science and data.
I went to church yesterday. I almost walked out. I could not believe how many people were masked. So then it hit me. I'm like, people are masked if they're COVIDians, and they need to be controlled. They need something like that in their lives. Or they're protesting, they're shoplifting, or they're carjacking. Those are the 4 categories of people in Chicago who are wearing masks right now, because masks are very convenient. Remember Superintendent David Brown when he said, please, we can't identify who they are because they're wearing masks. So don't wear the mask, because all those break-ins, those smash and grabs, on Michigan Avenue, on Oak Street, they were all wearing the mask. You can't tell who's who and what's what. In Missouri,
small price to pay to stop the spread.
At a bank, there's a bank in Missouri. It says if you take off your face covering or no entry.
Some other developments too. Just on the accountability front. Less people have thrown up their hands and said, well, we'll never get any sort of accountability for all of the bad actors and all of the people who were dishonest with us. This lawsuit filed against Pfizer by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is interesting. And it really is specific to Texas law, because in Texas, pharma companies don't have an exemption that they do in other states, including Florida, which one of Florida's problems, it's trial lawyer haven, just like Illinois. So there's 2 categories where you can go after a pharma company in terms of potential product liability. One is safety, and the other is efficacy. So safety is what the PrEP Act is the indemnification on. Safety is where the PrEP Act comes in, and it indemnified the pharma companies from people who had an adverse reaction or are vaccine injured. But not efficacy at the federal level.
Okay.
And there is no, essentially, false advertising or deceptive trade practices exception in Texas law for pharma companies. So this is what Ken Paxton is pursuing against pharma. If you can't get him through the front door, try to get him through the back door. I'm good with that. That's smart legal strategizing. So the first, so Texas is suing Pfizer over false advertising for all Texans in Texas under Texas law. That's the gist of it. And the summary of the case is basically the COVID-19 vaccines are not the miracle that they were advertised to be. Pfizer made misrepresentations intended to confuse and mislead the public in order to achieve widespread adoption of its vaccine, claiming, for example, 95% effective at preventing infection, without clarifying it was using a misleading relative risk reduction ratio, when the truth was its best case absolute risk reduction was under 1%. Pfizer lied that its vaccine provided lasting protection, falsely claiming vaccine-induced immunity was much better than natural immunity, which it said was garbage, basically. But really, any marginal protection the vaccine did provide quickly waned, as we know. In many cases, data and studies show the shots actually increase people's chances of catching COVID over time. That's number 2. So, you have, let's refresh our recollection a bit. You have all these claims that were made by Pfizer and the drug companies, and on behalf of Pfizer and the drug companies by the COVIDian politicians and school marms and so forth. And now we've got a state attorney general going chapter and verse to assess those claims versus what we now know to be true, and, importantly, what Pfizer knew to be true at the time, but purposely, but engaged in purpose deception. Number 3, Pfizer falsely claimed that its vaccine stopped viral transmission, pushing the lie that people should get vaccinated to protect other people like grandma. But the truth was, Pfizer's defective jab product did not prevent transmission of the virus, and thus the super spreading that occurred. Another Pfizer whopper was the claim the vaccine was very, very effective. That's a direct quote against the Delta variant, when its own data showed the vaccine performed especially badly against Delta, the exact opposite. So it just drills this down. So, I mean, I don't know. I have some guarded optimism about this suit in Texas, under Texas law, targeting Pfizer.
Yeah, because we won't have Kwame Raoul, our AG here, would never touch that subject.
I don't think that's going to be visited in Illinois, no.
I want to run this by you. Got a text message. It seems like the Biden crime family is getting ready to run their basement campaign again. Is this related to that, to the upcoming elections?
Well,
Dan, inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, I don't know that this will directly provide the cover for him to run from the basement, or run to and then from the basement. But what it does do is, hey, let's keep up appearances here. We did nothing wrong. Safety first. Let's continue to keep up appearances. What we did was based on our good intentions and the knowledge at the time, and we saved lives. And so hey, get that jab. Hey, put that mask on. Hey, stand in that idiot circle. They're going to keep it up.
But that vaccine mandate in order to go to a movie theater, a bowling alley, to a restaurant. I mean, my God, that really played.
They won't revisit that.
They won't ever revisit that, right?
They won't revisit
that. Was really bad.
But they will still. They'll do all the other things that you can ignore, but will provide the rationalization for what they did and the rationalization for so many who did their bidding, for so many who behaved horribly, barbarically, and still do. But we were saving lives. We were saving lives.
But there was no protocol. You know, you'd go to one place and you could show them your vaccination card on your phone. Another place that wasn't. I went full mama bear when Eli called me. He was at a movie theater with his friends, and he had vaccinated. He had, twice vaccinated. And the manager's like, no, we need the actual card. And I was like,
He got twice vaccinated?
I mean, they got twice. He got both shots. Yes, please. I know. Please. I did it. I did it because I wanted them to play sports. And that is, I know. I mean, I'm not kidding you. If the rule was, if they were exposed and they didn't even they tested negative, it didn't matter. They were out for 10 days back then. But if they were vaccinated, they could stay. So that's why I did that. But I remember going full blown crazy on this woman, threatening litigation, and like, that is acceptable. If you don't let him in that movie, I'm going to sue you, blah, blah, blah. And I don't really, that's not me, but I was driven to that point of just complete craziness.
Well, just on the accountability score, there's another opportunity. We had this opportunity in advance of 2022, but the midterm elections didn't go as well as we thought in terms of Republican control of the Senate, allowing Rand Paul and Ron Johnson, for that matter, to conduct hearings on all of this and whistle Fauci, among others, before them. But Rand Paul, who was the keynote at the dinner at our Freedom Summit, and he's got this book out about COVID and about Fauci, and talked about that at our event, but also is still talking about it. He talked about it with Maria Bartiromo yesterday.
And we have Anthony Fauci on record as saying that even if a pandemic occurs, even if a gain-of-function research infects a scientist and a pandemic occurs, that the knowledge would be worth the risk. And I think most people who had a loved one die, from COVID, either here or around the world, would disagree and think Anthony Fauci made a disastrous judgment call. But he also took the research, and it didn't go before the normal scrutiny. There's a safety committee that was supposed to review this, and Anthony Fauci allowed this research to be done at his signature, at his conclusion, at his approval, without the approval of the safety committee. And this, for this, he really should go down in history, perhaps as one of the worst people in public office ever, and responsible for probably more deaths than any other individual in the medical world.
Yeah, those are big statements, and it's just worth noting however sort of cynical you are, and it's understandable, about the idea that Fauci will ever be held accountable or the history will be written properly. Rand Paul's on the job, and that's a good thing. And he's not letting go.
Nope. And he's all business. Love him.
Monica, Lyle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi. My daughter, who's a nursing major, did all the boosters, got all the vaccines. We warned her about it, but be that as it may, she's got her fourth case of COVID. And when does it occur? The week before her finals. So we're trying to calm down a stressed out daughter because she's got this vaccine, this virus. So it's like she's got to spend a week in quarantine before she can go anywhere. So she's going stir crazy in her apartment.
And what's the protocol at your daughter's school? Is it like Amy was describing?
It's 5 days quarantine. She's not at the apartment. She's up in Rochester doing her internship at the hospital over there. So she's there, but I think she caught it when she was down visiting her friends at school.
Well, who knows? I mean,
yeah. Is it a mild case? She's young, right? It's a mild case.
It was a bad cold, is what it is,
Yeah,
and that's the other thing. Are we going to inoculate kids for the flu? How do we know all these kids don't have the flu?
Right.
Well, you get tested. Now they have a test where for COVID, RSV, and flu all in one. Then they decide, oh, you have the flu or you have RSV. But I mean, she can leave her apartment, right? I mean, this whole getting quarantined again just gives me hives.
Right. Would quarantine everybody who has any kind of cold? I mean, how do you track that?
The flu is worse than COVID for people right now. At least, the younger generation.
Mary Kay, Western Springs.
Oh my God, I can't. I'm having flashbacks.
I know, so am I.
In college. Amy, can we throw away our vaccine cards now? I mean, are they garbage?
Well, they're not requiring them. CDC's not printing them anymore.
Good.
But I'm saving mine just for nostalgic personal
I'm
reasons.
not. I'm putting them in a fireplace and burning those things up. It's so sad to go backwards. That's what I'm sitting here thinking. Why are we going backwards? You talked about the idiot circles again. I talked to lots of people, as you know, and I'm not even getting a flu vaccine. I don't want any more needles in my arms. I won't even do it. I don't care. I wash my hands.
I don't know how to break it to you, Mary Kay, but Mr. Taylor Swift is not going to be happy to hear that.
Wait, let me in on this joke. Who's Mr. Taylor Swift?
Travis Kelce. He's in the Vax ads.
Oh, yeah. He's on every ad. I don't even know what he's so overused.
He's on the cover of the Wall Street Journal magazine from Saturday. Did you see that, Dan?
Yeah. Real page
turner. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that thing stinks.
Swimsuit edition.
So, yeah. So why don't people just be normal and stop being gross? Wash your hands. Do what you had to do. That's what tamped down the flu in 2020. Just,
Thanks for the call, Mary Kay. Appreciate it. And who was termed no vax, Djokovic. Where do they go to get their apologies?
Yeah, the world owes him an apology. They owe Aaron Rodgers one. The New York Nets basketball player,
Kyrie Irving.
They owe him an apology too.
Our friend Jonathan Isaac.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, Djokovic, who's the best male tennis player in the world, maybe ever, he was on 60 Minutes, and he had this to say about his position that was treated as, heresy. He was
a murderer, Dan. These people are murdered. You don't care about my grandma.
Yeah, he's a super spreader and so forth. He just reminded people what his position was. See if this sounds fair and reasonable to you.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You were not against vaccination. You just did not want it for yourself.
Exactly. People try to, declare me as an anti-vax. I'm not anti-vax. No, I'm pro-vax. I'm pro freedom to choose.
Burn him at the stake. Let's get together a posse. You can't come in this country, mister.
So stupid. And he was on a tennis court far away from, it's just what we did to each other.
It doesn't even matter what he was doing.
Friends. People got divorced over this.
That position you just heard from Djokovic, that was unreasonable. Just remember that. Some things we do not want to forget. What did we learn over the last 3 years on so many fronts, between the lawlessness and the looting and rioting in cities, which continues, to everything that transpired in COVID? What did we learn? The line between civilization and barbarism is a lot closer than you think. Don't forget this. Paul and Carrie.
Morning, guys. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So I just want to, I've been reluctant to somewhat share this, but she refuses to allow me to publish an op-ed for what happened to me. I actually have the vax card, but I don't have the shot. So
a lot of people have that.
All right,
That was really prevalent during Lollapalooza, where a lot of people paid people to get the vax cards.
We'll be turning your information.
Well, I
over
was
to
actually,
CDC.
I didn't make it. It was
Yeah.
given to me by a doctor.
Okay, Admiral McLovin, we got it. We got what was going on there. We're gonna swoop up the whole ring of you, counterfeiters.
My point is, how many other people also have done the same thing? And this particular doctor, I waited until the last day to get the shot per my HR department, forcing me to get it. And so I go in there, and I was reluctant to do it, and she knew I was reluctant. I laid down $100 on the table. She says, "I'm not going to make you take this." She went on to tell me that she has 3 sons, and she advised all of her kids do not get the shot. She does not have the shot. Her sons don't have the shot. And she went on to say that, I said, "What about the MSDS sheets coming in with the shots?" And she said, "There is no MSDS sheets coming in with the shots."
It was a big racket.
Yeah.
A lot of people made a lot of money.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. I think starting with Pfizer, hopefully the state of Texas can claw some of that back. Lou on the southwest side.
Oh, I just talked to my granddaughter who lives in Greece. She has 2 friends of hers. They're married. He's from the Netherlands and she was from Russia. He got word from his sister that his mother was dying of cancer. So they jump in the car and they drive from Greece to the Netherlands, and they're closing the borders up in the Netherlands. He got over the border. He went to see his mother, and he locked the borders up. He's self-employed, and they were stuck there until they opened the borders up, and they lived in a campground. This is how Dr. Fauci. I got 2 friends of mine that both got the shot, and they both got heart trouble from this.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Lou. Appreciate it. All right, coming up at 6:36, we'll return to, Chicago protest redux. This is a center cut. You are upset about something, and you shut down the expressways. 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
28 degrees, 6:30 on AM 560, The Answer. Former President Trump now says he will not be testifying this morning in his fraud trial in Lower Manhattan. Israel says dozens of Hamas members have laid down their weapons as the terrorists issue a threat to their hostages. Fox's Jonathan Savage has more.
In Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's words, the war is in full swing. But, he adds, dozens of Hamas fighters have surrendered to Israeli forces. Hamas says that's not true. Fighting is concentrated in Gaza's 2 largest cities, Khan Yunis and Gaza City. While Israel says it's trying to avoid civilian casualties, thousands have died and the health situation is said to be catastrophic. Hamas, meanwhile, warning none of the 100-plus hostages it still holds will be allowed to leave Gaza alive unless its demand for prisoner releases are met. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
The opening bell rings this morning on Wall Street, kicking off fresh trading this week. Stocks closed higher on Friday after a November jobs report came in close to expectations. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is urging Congress to pass an aid package for Ukraine and Israel. The measure was shot down last week. Republicans say the deal must include money to seal up and step up border security.
We need to see this supplemental budget request go through as quickly as possible. Ukraine has done an extraordinary job in defending against this Russian aggression. Over the past year, it's taken back more than 50% of its territory. It's engaged in a ferocious battle right now along the eastern and southern fronts. We are running out of resources already in the bank to continue to assist them, and we need them.
Ukraine's President Zelensky is scheduled to meet with congressional leaders and President Biden on Tuesday. Authorities in northwest Indiana are trying to determine what caused a massive blaze at the abandoned Emerson High School in Gary, Indiana over the weekend. No one was hurt. School was closed in 2008. Charges have been filed against a woman accused of killing a man and injuring 3 others in a shooting on the city's west side. Deja Collins has been charged with first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder and aggravated battery with a firearm. Members of the Chabad of Evanston celebrated Hanukkah around the menorah Sunday afternoon, lighting another candle on the giant menorah representing what they say is a big effort this year.
I want people to feel inspired. I want people to feel invigorated, that they have the energy and the strength to not be fearful in any way.
Rabbi Meir Heck says he knows the power of prayer, since prayer is what brought their congregants, Judith and her daughter Natalie Renan, home from Hamas captivity. Chicago sports. Bears on a win streak for the first time this season, setting the Lions at Soldier Field 28-13. Jalen Johnson, Tremaine Edwards came down with INTs. Defense combines for 4 sacks. Cleveland is next. Nick Dowd a pair of goals in the Capitals' 4-2 win over the Blackhawks at the UC. Bulls back in action tonight, visiting the Bucks in Milwaukee, riding a 4-game win streak. 6:34 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2024? Yeah, that sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560, The Answer, wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you can have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
It happens every year. Winter. Delivering and receiving supplies and getting people where they need to go can be impossible. Keeping your business doors and gates working properly to keep out the extreme weather is a major concern. Your business can't afford a loss of income or productivity. Think ahead this winter and call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. for your commercial door maintenance and security tune-up now. You can't always plan when your doors break down, and it always seems to come at the least convenient time. Industrial Door Company will ensure your doors, grills, gates, and dock equipment are working to specification and give you advice on how to increase the life of your doors. Go online to see a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com. Call anytime, 847-258-5620. Their team will be there before the extreme cold weather causes financial losses for your company and assist in your time of need. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
6:38. Let's get a quick update on the roads. Team Hochberg traffic center time. Kennedy Express lanes inbound at Diversity got a left shoulder block there with ongoing emergency repairs on those outbound gates. Those reversible gates. One of the gates broke near Diversity, and that's being worked on this morning. Traveling on the Ike this morning, we're spotting delays inbound 17th to Austin, 32 into the old post office. And the Dan Ryan accident on an exit ramp. It's on the off-ramp to the Burns Circle interchange. 3-car crash on the ramp actually from the inbound Dan Ryan to the outbound Eisenhower. We're getting new information, so that crash is actually on the inbound Dan Ryan ramp to the outbound Ike. 3 cars involved, but it's right downtown right now, so the south end still moving okay on the Dan Ryan, and 25 in from 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Considerable clouds, a high of 38, clearing overnight with a low of 30. Currently 29. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I saw you were quite perturbed over the weekend by this protest of pro-Hamas demonstrators that backed up the Kennedy for a time. But I have to ask, Amy,
yes,
if it's good enough for Father Pfleger and protesters who want to shut down an expressway to protest the endemic violent crime in the city, or on behalf of demanding reparations, or waving the flag of Black Lives Matter, then why isn't it good enough for pro-terrorist protesters?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. Well, wasn't Father Pfleger protesting violence in the streets of Chicago?
I just
remember
said that.
No. Right, but I'm saying I could wrap my head around this. This I cannot wrap my head around.
Well, wait. So there are some causes for which it is justified to illegally shut down an expressway, and others it is not?
No, because I didn't support that at the time either. But I'm just saying this is so this is what they did. It was Saturday, 4 o'clock. There's about 100+ vehicles with the Palestinian flags. And something new, Dan, now they're waving the Hamas flag, the green flag with the white. Yeah. And they all were rolling down. Some of them came from Palos Heights, that area, and they drove up the Stevenson. And there was I got reports too from people that said, because there was traffic on the inbound Stevenson, and they were driving on the shoulder of the road because they're special, they're different, they need to be heard. So to get to that area, then they all converted and drove together down the inbound Kennedy, 4 o'clock in the afternoon Saturday, stopped, put on the brakes at Lawrence. One dude's got out of his car and is blocking a lane, waving not the Palestinian flag, but the Hamas flag. People were trying to go to work. I have a friend whose daughter works at Northwestern Memorial, was trying to get to work, was delayed. It was 30 minutes. They wouldn't move their cars.
Yeah.
And but that is not free speech. Blocking traffic is not a form of free speech. And we're letting them interrupt our freedoms now.
Again, come on.
No, I'm not coming out. I am out of I'm pissed about this.
Yeah, I know. And you were pissed a couple weeks ago when they shut down Lakeshore Drive. And you were pissed a couple years ago when they shut down the Dan Ryan. Right?
Well,
I mean,
why didn't they arrest anybody? Illinois State Police are in charge of our expressways. They, rolled up.
Yeah.
Take them in, impound their cars. You have their driver's license plates because you're staring at the car. Did they do any of that? I don't know. But nobody's been arrested.
Yeah. This just in, we have a problem with law and order in the city of Chicago. I mean, I can't get worked up about this. I don't know how anybody
Really?
can. How many times does it have to happen before you're inured to it or you recognize this is the life we chose, right? Or we're going to do the same chest beating as things happen over and over again? Doesn't the chest beating get tiresome? Doesn't it become obvious that it's without point? And for all of the bitching and moaning, that it just dissipates into the ether as soon as the bottleneck is cleared? I mean, who is standing up to these protesters in Chicago or on college campuses or anywhere else? I mean, at least within sort of Chicago and Illinois. Do you see much? What am I missing? I just, this is you just have to, this is Chicago. This is the precedent that was set long ago, and so you're going to feign surprise that other people are going to take advantage of the precedent that we collectively set.
So blocking expressways, blocking Lakeshore Drive. What's next? Because
Whatever-
they're not done yet.
They're
going to come up with something.
Let's keep it at room temperature because it's just there's all this fire. It's just wasted energy.
But what was it supposed to accomplish? This is not going to help peace in the Middle East doing this.
That's what it's. Is that what you think they think? It's going to help peace in the Middle East, shutting down
it's
Lakeshore
not
Drive
helping their
or
PR
the
campaign,
Kennedy.
Because people are not signing up for that.
Do you think people care? Do you think they care? Do you think Chicago residents care? They complain, and then they move on, and then the next group comes in with the next grievance du jour, and does the same thing, and then people complain, and they move on. Nobody ever goes back to say, well, that precedent is done. We're establishing a new paradigm here when it comes to this sort of conduct. No, well, that's not a discussion that's had. So you don't expect it to happen again, or you expect it to happen again?
I think they're going to come up with something else.
Well,
Maybe
so what?
lay down on the runway at O'Hare Airport with their flags that are the size of bed sheets.
And so what? So what? They're going to come up with something else? Sure they are. And? I mean, it's the operative question. When is it going to stop? I don't know. When? You tell me. What are you going to do about it is their posture towards people like you. And the answer is not much.
They feel entitled. They can do whatever they want.
Look,
the guy's a Palestinian, but I didn't see the Hamas flag until this past weekend. It's the first time I saw the Hamas flag.
Come on. They had a Palestinian flag raising ceremony in Fresno.
What?
Of course they did. You can probably see that outside City Hall, led by BLM Brandon and the local CARE chapter head before too long.
I watched.
The people who are surprised by this are the same people who are surprised that Paul Vallis lost. You just do not understand.
I'm still grieving that.
You do not understand the city of Chicago.
don't.
And it's remarkable because it's people that lived there a lot longer than the 20 years I lived there. But you're looking at that city, or the way that you think about the city, it just is not reflective of the reality of the city.
I have to break up with the city of Chicago. Will you help me?
I'll tell you. Look, here's what I suggest. First of all, the Bears won, so I mean that's good.
Oh, okay.
Everything's fine. Also, there's a new attraction on the river. There's electric hot tub boat rides.
Oh, I saw those.
Yeah.
Aren't they awesome? They do them in Chicago River, too. I see them in Addison when I cross the bridge. That's
Exactly.
going to make everything better. Rub a dub dub in the hot tub. Woo!
That's exactly. The Bears won. We have electric hot tub boat rides. What are you complaining about?
I love to booze in hot tubs. I mean, what could go wrong?
Everything's fine.
Kidneys will love it.
Everything is fine.
I got
Just relax.
text message. Dan and Amy, they ruined it for me Saturday. I was going on a date and had her waiting on me for an hour and a half.
Well, you know,
they're
if
ruining relationships.
Yeah. If she really cares about you, she'll wait.
The Hamas guy was blocking my lane on the inbound Kennedy. Oh, sure he was.
Exactly, right.
You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I did want to know, too, this is sort of fun. I mean, not that I support anybody getting carjacked or pistol whipped. I don't like to see that happen. But it is a way to welcome people to the city. A crew member for this Showtime show called The Chi.
Yeah.
Hours after arriving in Chicago, was carjacked and pistol whipped. Welcome to the city. I hope you enjoy your stay.
Yeah. Maybe you can use it as a storyline in your upcoming show.
It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the 50s last week. Isn't that exciting? Oh, in the city.
It's going to be 50 this weekend.
I mean, have you seen the Christmas decorations on the Mag Mile?
Yeah, it's a ghost town when it gets dark.
Oh, come on. It's great.
No, they run away. They go home.
Everything's fine. Let's stop with your, fear porn and your agita over a couple of well-wishing protesters.
Well-wishing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was organized. Police had to have known about it. But, I think they're caught off guard.
Tina and Joliet.
Morning, guys. So I have seen enough. I've seen enough since 2016 of law enforcement at every level, from our court system on down to the guys on the street, protect the very people who are disrupting and ruining our lives. I am 100% on board with the hashtag defund the police. We've got 400 million guns in this country. The citizens could solve this problem overnight. But we can't, because we are the ones who will get arrested. I watched a video of in Washington State, Hamas supporters blocked off an intersection, and they were protected by a line of police officers who then proceeded to chastise the angry traffic sitters for being mad at being inconvenienced slightly by the protest. No, I'm done. I am done. You'll never see me at another Back the Blue rally. Nothing. Through. Finished. Complete.
All right, Tina.
We need you. Sleep it off or drink it off, and then let's regroup.
Well, I mean, don't forget, not that I am a proponent of the Nuremberg defense, but these are calls that are made by the civilian political authorities, not the police. Sean and Darian.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Yeah, I mean, back when Daley was in office, sure, he was corrupt, but the city was clean, the city was safe.
Yeah.
They would have thumped you, they would have arrested you, especially like his father in the 60s. They would have got out of line, they would have pulled out the billy club, they would have taken care of business, and I do believe in that. So, have a good morning.
Thanks for
I
the
like
call,
the
Sean.
water cannons that Engine 78 would go out on when homeless people would start, setting up their encampments underneath the viaduct, and they just they were told to clean the area, and they did.
I love that statement from Sean. I'm sure the dailies were corrupt, but they would have billy clubbed some people here. Yeah, well, do you ever think that maybe the daily corruption built up over their collective nearly half a century in public office is what ushered in the era of Lightfoot and BLM Brandon and socialist control of the city council? You ever think about that? As opposed to pretending that these political transformations happen in isolation. I'm troubled by people who sort of, and this is again people that sort of are not understanding what happened to the city and how it happened. They harken back, wax nostalgic about the dailies or even Tiny Dancer. That is not grounded in reality. There is no good old days of the ROMs and the dailies. I hate to break it to you. And if the dailies and the ROMs were around, they wouldn't be doing anything because they couldn't get elected. Ever think of that? Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Unless it's federal, Dan, you referred to that as illegal. I was on the Stevenson heading out at that time, and Amy, they had these whatever you want to call them, Palestinian. They had a full emergency vehicle escort. That's more than a de facto acknowledgement that what they were doing was okay. And then also on the backside, something I haven't seen since I was in college 25 years ago, the tent city that was under the expressway by about 22nd and Halstead, about block east of Halstead, that tent city is gone and cleaned up. And I wonder if you guys had any idea what was up with that.
Well, maybe they moved into Dicka's.
Thanks for the call, Tom.
That place.
Yeah, well, you're moving people around here and there to, again, it's like a shell game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The outside on the 19th, they're gone. But at the 10th district 2 days ago, Dan, they tried to remove the illegals. And guess what they did? They flung trash at them. Then they started tagging their tents and the sidewalk, and because they didn't want to leave. They didn't want to be moved.
Just again, I would
gratitude.
I would encourage you and others just have a spin on one of those electric hot tub boats, and it's just everything's fine. George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, it's the city that works for you working out your problems.
Yeah, or as I want to say, the city that works you over. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Pure Talk has you covered for the holidays with a free Moto G 5G phone. No gimmicks, no trade-in necessary. Just sign up for Pure Talk's unlimited talk, unlimited text, and 15 gigabytes of data for just $35 a month and get the Moto G 5G phone for free. If your current phone is on life support, upgrade for free with Pure Talk. Enjoy 2-day battery life, an exceptional quad pixel camera, and a whole lot more. Just dial pound 250, pound 250, and say the keywords Dennis Prager to speak with Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team. They make switching so easy and will make sure you get your new phone. Remember, Pure Talk gives you America's most dependable 5G network at half the price. Dial pound 250 and say Dennis Prager to claim your free Moto G 5G phone with the qualifying plan from Pure Talk.
Guys, a lot of people talking about testosterone, but do your homework and go to a provider you can trust, like my friends at Low T Center, where I get my levels checked and have the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, notice weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office where you have a long wait. It's concierge medicine exclusively for men. They have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T-level tested, with results back in about 25 minutes. So what are you waiting for? Log on now to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you. When you do, Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Brace yourself for the ultimate holiday deal with Consumer Cellular. Snag an incredible 50% off the Iris Flip when you buy before December 17th, making it only $34.50. The Iris Flip is all the phone and camera you need with a user-friendly design, the perfect flip phone companion. Plus, you'll get nationwide coverage and always free activation. Score 50% off when you use promo code RADIO50. Head over to consumercellular.com and use promo code RADIO50 during checkout to score this deal.
This holiday season, Capital One reminds you to give yourself the gift of 1.5% cash back with the Capital One Quicksilver Card.
Can I earn 1.5% cash back on birds?
Birds?
What if you sent your true love 2 turtle doves plus a partridge in a pear tree?
Sure, but why would anyone want that?
The song was very convincing.
Earn 1.5% cash back on all your holiday purchases with the Capital One Quicksilver Card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is Jerry Boyer for Townhall.com. Disney just filed its annual Form 10-K with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and it contains some stunning admissions. The company acknowledges that it is having problems with declining profitability because their content is increasingly out of step with consumer preferences. But didn't we know that already? What's new here? What's new is that the company is admitting it in an official document registered with a powerful regulatory authority. To this point, Disney has tried to spin us with stories which avoid the core problem. The problem wasn't too many Marvel sequels. The problem is that most of them pander to progressive causes. It's one thing to try to spin the press. It's another thing to mislead the SEC, which has severe legal consequences. In other words, Disney pretty much had to tell the truth this time. Now it's time to hold them accountable. Now shareholders have the right, indeed the duty, to talk to the company. Seize that opportunity.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, we'll talk to Stephen Bucci, Heritage Foundation, about the various theaters of war and what financing the United States is going to provide, if any, more to Ukraine, if any more to Israel, if we're going to do anything substantial at the border in terms of policy change, all those national security issues with Stephen Bucci at 7:07.
And look who showed up for the border for the first time in 3 years. We'll tell you who after we get the latest from Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Fire damages a historic abandoned Emerson High School in Gary, Indiana. High school teacher killed in a wheeling crash. A man serving life for murder of Riley Fox dies in custody. Blackhawks fall to the Capitals. Bulls visit Milwaukee tonight. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
It's a cold morning to have no power or heat. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That is the situation in parts of Tennessee torn apart by weekend tornadoes.
We need to remember the victims, and there are a lot of them. People that have lost their lives, people that have lost everything that they own.
Governor Bill Lee after assessing the damage north of Nashville.
6 people dead in the state of Tennessee. 2 of them are children.
More than 80 others injured. Fox Weather's Robert Ray is in Clarksville, where it's 24 degrees now.
According to Clarksville officials, nearly 700 structures have been destroyed as recovery efforts are continuing. Power lines are still down. Over 10,000 people in the state of Tennessee this morning out of power.
Israel now says 20 of the 137 hostages Hamas is holding are dead, as Hamas warns none get out alive if demands are not met.
In Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's words, the war is in full swing. But, he adds, dozens of Hamas fighters have surrendered to Israeli forces. Hamas says that's not true. Fighting is concentrated in Gaza's 2 largest cities, Khan Yunis and Gaza City. Thousands have died, and the health situation is said to be catastrophic.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Former President Trump has changed the plan. He will not testify today for a second time at the Trump Organization's civil trial in New York. Writing on Truth Social, he has nothing more to say. They did nothing wrong, and it's a rigged witch hunt.
New York Attorney General Letitia James responded with a statement saying, "We have already proven that he committed years of financial fraud." Trump is accused of inflating the values of his properties to get better loan rates. The AG is seeking $250 million in penalties and wants Trump banned from conducting real estate business in New York.
Fox's Jill Nato. Hunter Biden's lawyer is expected to file paperwork today in Delaware trying to get felony gun charges dismissed. America's listening to Fox News.
28 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A trial date is expected to be set today for alleged Highland Park parade shooter Robert Crimo III. Crimo is charged in the July 4, 2022 shooting, which killed 7 and injured dozens. The annual celebration honoring Our Lady of Guadalupe begins this morning. Thousands have already begun making the pilgrimage to the shrine in Des Plaines. Celebrations officially kick off later this afternoon. A person was found dead after a fire in a Northside apartment early this morning. Chicago police say they responded around 2 a.m. to a fire at an apartment complex in the 1900 block of West Fargo Avenue. Authorities are still trying to determine what caused a massive fire at the abandoned Emerson High School in Gary, Indiana. The blaze broke out Saturday night. School was officially closed down in 2008. The FBI says a search is underway for a man who robbed a bank in Waukegan Saturday afternoon. According to the FBI, the robbery happened at the Bank of America branch in the 900 block of South Waukegan Road. And a man serving life in prison for the rape and murder of a Will County girl back in 2004 is dead. Will County State's Attorney's Office confirmed that Scott Eby died in custody. Eby was convicted of the murder of 3-year-old Riley Fox, who was found dead in a creek not far from her Wilmington home. Will County authorities initially charged her father, Kevin, after police said he confessed to the murder and sexual assault. However, he was released after spending 8 months in jail when DNA evidence completely cleared him of that crime. The Bears beat the Lions 28-13 at Soldier Field. Nick Dowd a pair of goals as the Capitals beat the Blackhawks 4-2. The Bulls are back in action tonight, visiting the Bucks in Milwaukee, riding 4-game win streak. The news service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2024? Yeah, that sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560, The Answer, wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you can have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2023 Food for the Poor campaign.
As many of you already know, Food for the Poor is a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
Right now, millions of families and children are experiencing the devastating effects of economic decline and rising food prices.
For many, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners who are providing life-saving food relief on the ground. But in order to get the food to those who need it, Food for the Poor needs your help. Thanks to a generous match, your one-time gift of just $80 can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year.
To make that gift, just call 844-862-4673.
Visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner, and thank you so much for your generosity.
Why should the Federal Reserve have so much power over your IRA or 401k? Whether they create a new bubble with low interest rates or pop the last bubble with high interest rates, a group of unelected government officials has no business deciding your future. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is just one more reason why I recommend a physical gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Because precious metals are the best way to maintain your financial independence. And now you can hold gold inside of a tax-advantaged account. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother.
I love being with family. We have so much fun doing things together, and that is really the priority of my life. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I try and exercise and eat well, and balance of nature just helps me to put it all together and take me over the top. I really am happy that I came across it, and I've been taking it for probably 5 years, and I will continue to take it. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus a free fiber and spice supplement as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
It is 7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy inbound is at 25 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Watch out in the express lanes. You've got a left shoulder block with emergency repairs. They're working on one of the reversible gates near Diversey. Kennedy outbound also has a car fire. 3 left lanes are blocked outbound between Cumberland and I-190. 44 minutes on that reverse commute back out to the big airport this morning. Stevenson in 40 minutes, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And Dan Ryan, 24 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, considerable cloudiness. Our high today, 38. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 30. Sunny to partly cloudy for tomorrow, the high again at 38. And then plenty of sun on Wednesday. High Wednesday afternoon, 41. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
28 at O'Hare, 29 Midway, 26 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I mean, how do we trust this administration when it comes to really anything of importance, including its posture with respect to the Middle East? I mean, you heard on Mike Scott's newscast, Comrade Bernie decrying any sort of blank check we would give Netanyahu as the left continues to cater to its anti-Semitic base. Even as Netanyahu is calling on Palestinians and even Hamas terrorists to surrender. He did again over the weekend. Put down your arms. Do not die at the hands of, or do not die for Sinwar, is literally what he said. And Sinwar is the leader of the political wing in Gaza. Don't die for him, because that's what's going to happen. He's the bad actor. Bibi, I'm talking about, according to the left. And Zelensky is Eastern Europe's George Washington. How do I believe that? How do I believe the administration is acting in the nation's best interests when you have stories after stories like this one? A New York Post examination of George Soros' Open Society Foundation records shows that Soros, who is Jewish. I remember criticizing George Soros as it being anti-Semitic. Right. Okay. See if this squares with that assertion. He's given nearly $50 million since 2016 to the International Crisis Group.
What's that?
Which is a think tank that was headed up by Robert Malley before he joined the Biden administration as special envoy to Iran in 2021. This is Robert Malley in 2010 on Hamas and Hezbollah
Hezbollah and Hamas, the two most prominent groups, although the Sadrists in Iraq also fall in that category. It's a mistake to only think of them in terms of their terrorist violence dimension. They're social political movements, probably the most rooted movements in their respective societies. Hamas, not a majority among Palestinians by any means, but very deeply rooted. It's been, it was born in the first Palestinian Intifada in the 1980s. It has deep loyalty. It has a charity organization, a social branch. It's not something you can defeat militarily either, and people need to understand that. There's so much misinformation about them. I mean, I speak to them, and my colleagues speak to them. Now, we may disagree with them, but they have their own rationality. That's one thing to understand. None of them are crazies. They may do things that we consider to belong to a different realm of rationality, but within their own system, it's often very logical. If Hamas is not allowed to govern, if we squeeze them, and you may have good reasons for doing that, but if you do that, we'll tell you what the reaction will be. Rockets. No doubt. And consolidation of Hamas's power in Gaza. Both things have happened.
Mm-hmm. So Mali is an apologist. They have a social organization. They have poker night, so on and so forth. That's wonderful. He's an apologist for terrorist organizations. He's also an apologist, as this entire administration is, for the world's leading state sponsor of terror. That would be Iran, as Mali is the special envoy that was attempting to resuscitate the glide path to a nuclear Iran deal that was initiated under Joe Obama's first two terms. And you want me to trust the foreign policy posture, the national security posture of this administration, whether it comes to Ukrainian aid, whether it comes to reauthorizing Section 702 of FISA. Boy, I'm having difficulty squaring the circle on that. Maybe Stephen Bucci can help. Stephen Bucci joins us, of course. He has served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. He is a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies at present. Stephen Bucci, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to be back on the show with you both, and I'm glad to be back.
So, what about that? Why should I pay any mind, much less, if I was a member of Congress, particularly Republican? Why should I buy the line that the Biden administration is selling on the Middle East, on Eastern Europe, on Section 702, which was, of course, topical from last week because of Christopher Wray's testimony, on just about anything else?
It's very difficult to do it. Your point with Mr. Malley there is exactly spot on. I mean, if you could have put all of the apologist tropes that anyone uses for horrific organizations, he had them all in that statement talking about Hamas and by implication Hezbollah. They're horrific organizations. They're tied to the Muslim Brotherhood. They're tied to Iran. Come on. There's no way that they're legitimate. And, if you squeeze them, it'll just create rockets. Well, if you don't squeeze them, they seem to create rockets too. The rockets are sort of a given, but they think that's okay because, after all, it's a social movement. Well, so was the National Socialist movement in Germany, which was also elected. And it had a huge social component to it. And it turned out to be the most horrific government regime we've ever seen, unless maybe you count, Joe Stalin's. It's crazy to sit there and argue this. And Biden can't have it both ways. He wants to be seen as a supporter of Israel, but at the same time, he's got all these people in his administration that are saying, well, maybe we better do a ceasefire or at least a pause. And Israel, you need to be more precise than who? They're the most precise military in the history of warfare, frankly, other than maybe some who didn't fight at all.
It's crazy. So here's the problem then for me, and maybe this is too simplistic, but he's telling, Biden administration telling us to, telling Netanyahu to pump the brakes, which I disagree with, and he's telling us to press the pedal down in terms of anything that Zelensky wants, which I'm also, which I'm skeptical of, I guess I would say, because I can't trust this guy's judgment and the judgment of the people around him.
And Zelensky's coming to the White House tomorrow.
Well, he's got to go to more than the White House, because the White House doesn't just get to give him money by itself. The Congress has to agree, and significant members of Congress, not just Republicans, but others, are scratching their head and going, you know what? How do we, as you say, square this circle? It's very, very difficult when you put the border, our own border, which is so porous, the open arms to Ukraine, but now the country that's our best ally in the Middle East, we're telling them, hey, just suck it up. It was only a couple of hundred people kind of stuff. I'm sorry, no, they shouldn't pump the brakes. We should be aiding them and assisting them in stepping forward. And frankly, we should be stepping forward, particularly where those Iranian proxy groups are hitting our folks. The impotent response to that, the decision not to go after the Houthis, who is coming up with that? Why does anyone think that's a good idea? We should be hammering those folks, particularly the installations that have Iranian IRGC Quds Force advisors living there, so that we can hit them. Because I don't think we ought to start hitting targets inside Iran yet. I think that would be too far. It wouldn't necessarily be beneficial, but I think we can message them very strongly by really putting the wood to all of their proxy groups that are already shooting at us. So it's not that we've provoked it. They shot at us first. We have every right to shoot back. Even if you do proportionality, shoot back at least the same number of times they shoot at us.
Right. Well, the Iran proxies, they attacked the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, and Biden has done nothing.
Yeah, it's absurd to do that. No one has justified their decision not to fire at the Houthis, who are shooting, at ships in the Persian Gulf. They're shooting potentially at our ships there. They're firing towards our ally. We ought to be taking responsible steps. It's no good to be bellicose when it's not in our interest, and wimpy when it is in our interest. I don't understand that. They seem to have it completely backwards.
Yeah, and last week we saw Putin and MBS from Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, yucking it up. And maybe they were just, celebrating the Live Tour, getting John Rahm or something. But they seem to be in very good spirits, Putin and MBS. The Iranians seem to be in pretty good spirits, too, because we're making them we're making them rich because of our inability or our lack of desire, I should say more accurately, to sanction the Iranians. We're doing the same thing for Putin by hamstringing our own energy production. We've got these goofballs from the Biden administration at the COP28 conference decrying fossil fuels, while we're putting tens, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, really, into the pockets of Iranian mullahs and that Russian dictator because of our energy posture and policy. So, where does that go? That and this idea that the Saudis are some sort of ally of convenience in the Middle East, as again MBS is entertaining Putin.
Yeah, we've got to come up with a coherent foreign policy posture. We don't have that. We haven't had it since Biden came into office, and it swings back and forth. It calls people our friends, our enemies. It calls people who are clearly our enemies, they're potential partners. Come on, open your eyes. Ray Charles could see and evaluate these people more accurately than the Biden administration in all of its parts. And we've got to do it better because our adversaries are looking at this, and some unpredictability can be a benefit in foreign policy. But when your friends and your adversaries are totally clueless as to what in the world you might be trying to do, that's just dangerous. It'll scare away our friends. It'll embolden our adversaries, and it's kind of what we have right now.
Chris Wray's testimony last week before the Senate committee, I want to zero in particularly on Section 702, which I mentioned. This is the one of the spying provisions under the FISA Act. It's up for reauthorization. The Biden administration is pushing it. And senators like Mike Lee are pushing back because of the abuses that have been documented and reported, and because of the less than persuasive, I would argue, responses from Christopher Wray about the reforms that have been made that I can't tell you what they are. If I was, based on what I know, which is not as much as these senators do, but I would be with Mike Lee. I would, and I know there's competing proposals for reauthorization of 702, but I certainly wouldn't be supportive of giving the FBI the power that it's enjoyed up until this point under FISA. Is that fair, or am I wrong?
No, I think you're being entirely fair. Look, I was in the government on 9/11 and stayed in the government until the end of the Bush administration. So I was there when all that stuff went into place. And to be frank, we thought the FISA provisions were the stopgap that would keep this from going off the rails, that those judges would be able to oversee, any sort of overreach with those provisions. We then found out during the Obama administration that, when Snowden released it all, that, gosh, the American people looked at it and said, no, you haven't put enough safety there. We don't think this is appropriate. We are not comfortable with it. They voted vocally against this sort of thing through the Congress, which was one of the few times the Congress actually stood up and acted like they're supposed to. And it's still there. And the FBI, with its behavior all through Obama and then into Trump and now under President Biden, they have lost the faith and the trust of the American people. Maybe individual FBI agents are still good, and I think that's probably true, but the leadership is completely without any sort of credibility in the minds of the American people as far as protecting our rights and our constitutional values. So no, Mike Lee is exactly right. They should be very skeptical. They should really say, look, I'm sorry, if you can't talk to us about it, then it didn't happen. So no, you didn't put the reforms in place. Request denied. Show us the reforms. If they're sufficient, then we'll relook this. But to just say, I'm sorry, you just don't understand, you little people, we got this under control. No, the FBI doesn't have that kind of credibility anymore.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, as he was just describing. He's a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Steve Bucci, thanks as always.
It's my pleasure. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The truth is, viruses cannot be killed, and unlike bacteria, viruses are not alive. A virus is what we call a biologic entity, but we can still do something. We can destroy a virus or even keep it from being able to launch its attack on our bodies before, during, and after exposure. And this is why you need to get the kit. Our winter survival kit. Your body can protect you from these infectious bugs, but it needs a little help building up its immune defenses. And the best offense is a great defense. And that's why you need the kit. It's a perfect strategy for every infectious bug, as well as those non-living, can't-kill viruses. Our winter survival kit is a must for your home or workplace. It contains targeted nutritional components that can get the job done before,
during, and after any infectious exposure. So get the kit. For details, call our Health Quest radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
All right, I know during this Christmas season, we ask you to, buy a pajamagram and all that stuff. But if you want to make a donation to Food for the Poor on behalf of a well-fed son or daughter or grandchild, why don't you do that? I did that one year. I made a donation on behalf of, I think it was my mom. And that was the Christmas present that year. I gave, I think it was $80 last year or 2 years ago, and that will feed 2 children for an entire year. So if you want to do that.
That's all you got your mom was an $80 donation?
Well, when people get older, listen. When
she gave you life.
I
Couldn't do better than that.
And I appreciate that, but when people get older, they like to declutter, and they don't need another sweater or a bracelet or something. They just, don't you get what do you get Larry for Christmas?
What about all that NBC money? How about $500? $500 donation, $80.
Dan, I've got 2 kids in college, and I'm not getting child support anymore. Do you really want to go there? Huh? I've asked you to sponsor Peyton and Eli, but no. It's just sitting on your hands.
Right.
I'm not
sponsor
helping out
them
with
at
college.
Georgia Tech and Iowa. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 2 fine institutions. They're kind of alike, just a little different. But anywho, we've partnered up with Food for the Poor again this year. Why? Because we believe them. Because we've seen firsthand the good work that they do in Latin America and the Caribbean with their feeding centers, vaccination centers. They go into small villages and build wells and teach them, the purification water process, and they're saving lives is what they're doing, because moms wake up not knowing, how am I going to get food today? And during COVID, it was even worse when the feeding centers shut down, but they didn't let that stop them. Food for the Poor then went into the villages with care packages of food. Great organization. Wouldn't support them if, we didn't see, again, firsthand the good work that they do. $80, feed 2 children for a year. $320, you can feed 8 children for a year. The number to call is 844-862-4673 or visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
And we have our business benefactor program as part of this campaign again this year. I want to thank the businesses that have already signed up. A few of them include Waukegan Roofing, Opinion Health Solutions, Brewsher Machining, Inspired Closets, Napleton Mazda of Naperville, Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove, and many more. If you want to join those enlightened businesses, here's the way you do it. You make a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 to Food for the Poor, and we at AM 560 will give you 41-minute commercials for your business to air on our airwaves, prime broadcast hours, Monday to Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. That's the best marketing deal in all of Chicago radio, and at the same time, you'll be providing life-saving food for more than 62 children in Haiti. To become a business benefactor, you just call our sales manager. Her name is Ann Jeanette. She can be reached at 847-472-8951. Again, Ann Jeanette at 847-472-8951 to become a business benefactor.
Are you a driver of a Ford Power Stroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford Power Stroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford Power Stroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit Remke'sGarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll go to the border, at least rhetorically and policy-wise, with Mark Morgan, former Customs and Border Protection Commissioner at 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:31 this morning, 28 degrees, and at least 6 are dead after a string of tornadoes struck Tennessee over the weekend. Montgomery County Emergency Services Chief Jimmy Edwards says There also were a number of injuries.
9 had been transferred to Vanderbilt Medical Center, placed their conditions in critical, unstable condition.
2 adults and 1 child were killed in Clarksville. 3 others died in Madison, just north of Nashville. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says it's the beginning of the end for Hamas terrorists. In a video message Sunday, Netanyahu saying dozens of militants have surrendered as Israel continues to wipe the Palestinian militant group out in the ongoing war in the Gaza Strip. Meantime, Secretary of State Antony Blinken believes Israel does not want to harm Palestinian civilians, but wants Israel to do more.
The intent is there, but the results are not always manifesting themselves.
Speaking on CNN's State of the Union, Blinken acknowledged that Israel needs to protect itself from more attacks by Hamas terrorists. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to travel to the White House. President Biden inviting Zelensky to a meeting on Tuesday to underscore the U.S. commitment to Ukraine. Word from Wall Street this morning, health insurer Cigna is dropping plans to merge with its competitor Humana. The Wall Street Journal reports the 2 companies could not reach an agreement after working on the idea for weeks. A trial date is expected to be set today for the alleged Highland Park parade shooter Robert Crimo III. The annual celebration honoring Our Lady of Guadalupe begins this morning. Thousands already have begun the pilgrimage. It officially kicks off this afternoon. More than 200,000 are expected to visit that shrine. And a person was found dead after a fire in a Northside apartment early this morning. Chicago police say the fire broke out around 2 a.m. in the 1900 block of West Fargo Avenue. Bears upset the Lions at Soldier Field 28-13. Nick Dowd a pair of goals in the Capitals' victory over the Blackhawks at the UC 4-2. Bulls back in action tonight visiting the Bucks in Milwaukee, riding a 4-game win streak. The news, a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday morning at 6:30 here on AM 560 The Answer. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago this Christmas season on their spectacular annual holiday tour. And AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the Allstate Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. I love being with family. We have so much fun doing things together, and that is really the priority of my life. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I try and exercise and eat well, and balance of nature just helps me to put it all together and take me over the top. I really am happy that I came across it, and I've been taking it for probably 5 years, and I will continue to take it. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus a free fiber and spice supplement as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. Not only is it open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also a time you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, switching to MediShare saves about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. And what's more, they like it. MediShare has double the member satisfaction rate compared to health insurance. Double. MediShare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of more than 400,000 members. And here's the thing. If you join before December 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, you'll get another 10% off all of 2024. That's 12 months of savings. So I'll give you the number here in a second, but call. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline's December 15th. So call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number. 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE, 844-47-BIBLE.
There's nothing worse than hearing about people living in pain. So I'd like to tell you about Keith from Washington and his Relief Factor story. After years of activity, from college football to running a martial arts studio, at age 51, Keith's body felt like it was wearing out. So he gave Relief Factor a try. Keith says he now has, quote, little to no pain in my knees and highly reduced neck pain. Feeling so much better, he pursued a second-degree black belt. I can testify to everything except the black belt part, how much it has helped me. Relief Factor. If you're living with aches and pain, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. To get started, try the Relief Factor 3-week quick start kit. It's only $19.95. Comes with a feel better or your money back guarantee. Visit relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800-4RELIEF.
Pluto TV is your home for the holidays. Enjoy Christmas classics, all for free. Download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices. Pluto TV, stream now, pay never.
It is 7:38. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And the outbound Edens is jammed up. Montrose out to Niles Center. Kennedy inbound is at 15 from the junction on into the Burns Circle interchange. 25 in from O'Hare and climbing. Kennedy outbound right now, due to an earlier car fire, you're jammed solid Cumberland out to I-190 this morning. The Ike-in, 41 heavy minutes. 390 to the old post office, 45 on the inbound Stevenson, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Stop and go traffic on the Bishop Ford inbound between 159th and Sibley. There's an accident there with a left lane blocked. Oak Lawn 93rd southbound between Cicero and 50th Avenue. Head-on collision there has that intersection closed. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Considerable clouds today and a high of 38. Clear to partly cloudy and 30 overnight. 28 at O'Hare, 29 Midway, 26 Aurora, 27 DuPage Airport, and 29 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Another week, another record. Fox News' Bill Malugin reporting from the border, Tucson sector. 18,900 apprehensions of illegal immigrants in the last week alone. It's the highest weekly total ever recorded for the sector, breaking the prior record of 17,500, which was set the prior week.
Oh, there you go.
Most of the illegal crossings were in Lukeville, where Malugin has been reporting on border wall breaches and mass incursions. The Tucson sector, again, reminder, just one of 9 Border Patrol sectors along the southern border.
And of that, which people aren't discussing, 390 unaccompanied minors, children without parent. And who knows what's going to happen with them.
Yeah, well, they can be added to the 85,000 children that we don't know where they went because of the lawlessness at the border. And that's compassionate?
It's a sex trafficker's dream.
And so that prompted one border state governor, Katie Hobbs. Remember her? She's a border state governor.
You know what? Because remember, she campaigned in the basement. She wouldn't have a debate with Carrie Lake and all that. People don't even know what her voice sounds like. But yeah, no, she decided to go to Lukesville because now there's a problem.
I'm here at the Lukeville Port of Entry to assess the situation on the ground firsthand and get Customs and Border Patrol the resources they need to reopen our port of entry. Security is a top priority, and as long as I'm governor, I'll do whatever I can to end the chaos at the border. I'm not afraid to stand up to politicians on either side who aren't doing what's in the best interests of Arizona. And I'm taking action. This week, I sent a letter to President Biden demanding the resources and manpower to open this port of entry. And we announced Operation Secure to step up state support for local law enforcement. But Arizona can't do this alone, nor should we have to. We're asking the federal government to reimburse us for the costs to Arizonans. For far too long, Arizona has borne the brunt of federal inaction on our southern border, and I'm tired of it. Now is not the time for partisan politics. It's time for action.
Wow, it was almost
so assertive.
It was so lifelike. Yeah, so that's how bad it is.
Oh my God.
How bad it is now is that Katie Hobbs has to do her Eric Adams impersonation, who was prompt and BLM Brandon impersonation for Chicagoans. And, of course, that is not dissimilar to what Greg Abbott, Ron DeSantis, and Republican border state governors have been saying for many, many moons. Welcome to the party, Katie Hobbs. Now she can no longer ignore it. That's what she was really communicating. I tried for as long as I could, but I can't ignore it anymore because I don't want to have a 28% approval rating like Eric Adams currently has.
Well, currently, as we speak, there are 10,000+ of illegals, Dan, that are sitting in Arizona. She's going to have to do what Abbott does. She's going to have to bust them out of there. There's no place for them to go.
Well,
so that's going to be interesting when she starts doing that, because the Tucson shelters are packed, Nogales shelters are packed, and Lukeville is west of Nogales, and there's nowhere for them to go.
I wouldn't expect. I mean, that could happen. It could happen quietly. It could happen through cutouts like Catholic Charities, as we've seen in Texas. But the other thing, of course, is that we all live in a border state now. Mm-hmm. We know this in Chicagoland because of the base camps that are being planned, if not built quite yet, and all the persons who've entered this country legally that have been shipped to Chicago. But also because of these burglary rings that are getting a little bit more profile. We had one that was comprised of people from Colombia here illegally, and our very own ABC7 reporting on another in Detroit.
Gangs from South America are breaking into multi-million-dollar homes across the country and now in Metro Detroit. And police say they're highly functional and well-trained.
The guy to the right in the middle, that's a jammer. So he's jamming signals right now.
Those jammers then render the Wi-Fi security systems useless. At least 30 to 40 homes have been hit since September in Detroit, and thieves getting away with cash, jewelry, expensive handbags in minutes.
You know, a lot of this stuff is being packed up into boxes for shipping as they're driving away from your home.
Oh, that's convenient.
Well, I mean, they've got their act together. That's more than we can say of the Biden administration. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Mark Morgan, former Customs and Border Protection Commissioner. Mark, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you both for having me.
So, I mean, just the South American burglary rings, that's a development that hasn't gotten as much ink nationally, but it's starting to bubble up to the surface, too. There's a lot of talk about, the gangbangers, the MS-13 types, and other bad hombres, as Trump once said, coming across the border. But then there's, like, really sophisticated operators, too, that are coming across to do Americans harm.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we have the governor of Arizona that after 3 years, you said she finally joined the party to go actually to the physical border. And she's taken strong action. Yeah. Did you listen to what her strong action is? She sent a letter.
Woohoo!
I mean,
yeah.
Right?
Strongly worded letter. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And keep in mind what she's doing, and you mentioned it already, I'm just foot stomping here, but she's taking on the same mantra as a New York mayor, Mayor Adams, and that he's not asking, and nor did she ask this administration to reverse its open border policies that has caused the chaos and lawlessness at our border. She's asking for more taxpayer money to simply manage it after the crisis has already entered our border. That's key. The second part is very important. This is, and I agree with you, it's never talked about, is that right now, over the past 3 years, we've had over 10 million aliens come to our borders, 8 million that we've encountered, and over 2 million that have just gotten away. And we know among them, look, I'm not saying they're all bad, but guess what? They're not all good, right? I mean, that's why we have a got-away, over 2 million, because they know that they have a background that even this administration would not allow them into the country. And now we wonder, every single day we have murderers, rapists, pedophiles, aggravated felons, and gang members being released in our country every single day. And now they're finally starting to wake up and go, whoa, maybe this is an issue.
Well, what about the ones from China? I mean, there was hundreds of them. I mean, were they sent by the Chinese government to infiltrate our country and then join our military? Because that's what our Senator Dick Durbin wants them to do.
I mean, so look, that's a very honest question that we should be asking. I don't understand why we're not screaming this from the mountaintops. That's not hyperbole. In the past 36 months, we've encountered over 24,000 Chinese nationals. 24,000. That's more than the past 15, 18 years combined. And the majority of the 24,000 are single adult males of military age. What we're just supposed to just shrug our shoulders and say, nothing to see here, as China is and continues to be one of the global threats against not just the world, but also our country. And we're supposed to just pretend like that's not an issue? That's what's happening on our southwest border.
That's more than the undergrad population of Chinese nationals at U of I. I mean, that's how big that number is. Anyway, I digress. So your former colleague, Tom Homan, has suggested that the posture that House Republicans should take is they fund nothing until there not as more staffing at the border, until there's policy changes at the border that have been widely discussed, like Remain in Mexico and so forth. Do you agree with him about that?
100%. This is a very important question because what's happened on our border was not caused by a resource issue. From the moment the Biden administration took over from the Trump administration, they had the same amount of resources. Well, then, if they had the same amount of resources, why did we see a complete historic, chaotic lawlessness happen on our border? It's because of policies. That's the issues. And let me just give you a couple. The network of tools and authorities we had in place under the Trump administration that had resulted in the most secure border we had. The safe third country agreements we had with all three Northern Triangle countries, gone. The Remain in Mexico program, gone. Building the wall, gone. Our ability to actually allow ICE to do their job in the interior to actually apprehend and remove those that are here illegally, completely gutted. So, and I could keep going on. So this is a policy issue. And right now the Republicans have an opportunity. It's called H.R. 2. It's the strongest piece of border security legislation that's ever been passed in the history of Congress. It was passed in the House, and all but one Republican voted for it. There's your answer. But we have Republicans in the Senate right now that are negotiating with themselves, watering down H.R. 2, and I don't understand it. H.R. 2 is the answer. In fact, in my opinion, it doesn't go far enough. But again, it's the strongest piece that's ever been passed. That's how we get for this administration to reverse its policy and get some control over our border.
And detail the highlights of H.R. 2.
Yeah, so one of them is just what you said. So it's actually going to put forth policies like the Remain in Mexico. It's going to reform the asylum process. And it's actually going to put resources there as well. So it's a multi-layer strategy of both resources and policy both that's actually going to serve as a deterrence and consequences to those that are illegally entering. You reduce illegal immigration, you get more resources back on the border to secure our border.
And the one question I always have about personnel, just because of the turnaround time on the adjudication of these asylum applications, which I understand are a small fraction of those people who are in this country. I guess technically, if you filed an asylum application legally under this administration, but otherwise, small percentage. But the judges that adjudicate these cases. Is it a personnel problem in terms of having more cases adjudicated in a more timely manner? I mean, it just they talk about the people waiting for their asylum application to be adjudicated for years and years, waiting for court date for years and years. Well, that shouldn't be the case either. It should be pretty quick turnaround, and in most cases, it shouldn't be that complicated.
That's right, and it would be if we would stop the bleeding. It would be if we would stop the invasion. That's the problem. But so the Democrats, that's what they want. They said, oh, well, we need more lawyers. We need more immigration judges to get through the backlog. No, that's not the issue. That's addressing the answer. That's the issue. That's reacting to the crisis once it's here. We should stop the crisis. And what I mean by that is we should stop illegal aliens from being released into the country. We know the overwhelming majority of those that come to file a claim are fraudulent claims. They're not the victims of state-sponsored persecution because of their involvement in a protected class. They're economic migrants. So we know the overwhelming majority are fraudulent claims, but yet we're releasing them in the United States, and they're part of the backlog. We have enough resources already to address legitimate asylum claims if we would actually enforce the law, secure our border, and stem the flow of illegal immigration and fraudulent claims.
If the federal government doesn't act, doesn't move H.R. 2, for example, what do you think of what Governor Abbott did in Texas, which is essentially to deputize all state and local law enforcement as border patrol? I mean, de facto, in the sense that they are empowered to detain and bring back for deportation anybody in Texas and by extension this country illegally.
I applaud Governor Abbott. What he's done is, in the face of this government failing to uphold their constitutional responsibility to protect every state from threats outside its border, Governor Abbott is stepping up and doing the job of the federal government. In my opinion, he's actually availing himself of the self-help remedy in the Constitution that says very clearly, if the federal government fails to do their job to protect the states can protect themselves. And this is one more step under Operation Lone Star. The Texas legislature actually passed new laws that said it's a state crime to illegally enter across the U.S.-Texas
right.
border. I think it's absolutely the right thing, and it's one more step in the right direction to send a strong message that's going to deter individuals from illegally entering, at least in the state of Texas.
He is Mark Morgan, former U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner. Mark, thank you as always.
You bet. Thank you both.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you have a home remodeling project you'd love to get done? This is your opportunity to lock in this year's pricing with Chicago's Design Build Dream Team. Forever Remodeling is now offering exceptional savings. Simply sign on by December 31st to avoid any price increases next year. At Forever Remodeling, their expert designers and installers will turn your dreams into reality. Act now and you'll not only protect yourself from future price increases, but also beat the rush and secure a preferred spot in their schedule. Call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. Highly skilled to design and build.
All right, cold floors, the problem's probably in the basement or the crawl space. And Permaseal can now help make your basement and crawl space warmer and therefore your upstairs more comfortable with their new product, Permafoam Insulation. Permaseal can spray this insulating foam between your floor joists, which not only increases your energy efficiency, but it also deters insects, rodents, mold, and mildew resistant rim joist spray foam, Justin Kosik's favorite, can be installed in just one day, and it's twice as effective as the old-fashioned fiberglass bats. For more than 40 years, 450,000 homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana have trusted Permaseal to make their home healthier and more valuable. Save money and be more comfortable. Call Permaseal today to schedule a free evaluation. 800-421-SEAL. 800-421-7325. Or go visit Permaseal.net. Permaseal, known best for being better.
When life ends, your legacy begins. Ensure your legacy lives on at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties. Take advantage of 0% financing, lock in today's prices, and safeguard yourself against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Can't wait to do it because I missed it yesterday, and that's take my balance of nature. I'm feeling good, and I'm doing something for myself. Why? Well, I don't get enough fruits and veggies on my own, and I need to take balance of nature, and I love it. I have more energy, which means I can sleep better at night. People who take it tell me all the time the wonderful benefits of it. People stop me at O'Hare Airport, believe it or not, and say, I'm taking balance of nature, and I love it. So be one of the cool kids. Order your bottles of fruits and veggies today. 800-246-8751. And guess what? We're back to using discount code Chicago, or online at balanceofnature.com, discount code Chicago.
Hello, my name is Gina. When I first found out that I was pregnant, I was in a very dark place. I was living out of my car or on the streets, working as a dancer at a nightclub, heavily into drugs and alcohol, and I didn't know how I was going to deal with having a child. You know, people look at someone living like I was and say, that's why we need abortion. I didn't need an abortion. What I needed was help. So Aid for Women helped me move into Heather's house. They gave me everything: a place to stay, clothes, food, a listening ear, help with my daughter, everything. To learn more about my story, watch my video, and support this great organization, go to helpaidforwomen.org. That's helpaidforwomen.org. You can help save lives and souls like mine from abortion today.
Aid for Women offers women real choice. They really do terrific pro-life work. Please step up and support this great organization. Go to helpaidforwomen.org.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2023 Food for the Poor campaign.
As many of you already know, Food for the Poor is a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
Right now, millions of families and children are experiencing the devastating effects of economic decline and rising food prices.
For many, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners who are providing life-saving food relief on the ground. But in order to get the food to those who need it, Food for the Poor needs your help. Thanks to a generous match, your one-time gift of just $80 can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year.
To make that gift, just call 844-862-4673.
Visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner. And thank you so much for your generosity.
When you need to ship sensitive or large and heavy equipment, the DC Group in Elk Grove has the experience and expertise to handle the biggest and most complicated jobs. DC Export and Domestic Packing, Inc. was founded in 1974 by the husband and wife team of Dominic and Carol Cacciamiglio. Beginning in a building not much bigger than a 4-car garage, the company now boasts 2 Chicago area facilities totaling 100,000 square feet, plus a 45,000 square foot FTZ warehouse in Greenville, South Carolina. Through these facilities and their long-standing agents, they offer nationwide packing, crating, container, and flat rack loading unloading, as well as warehousing, all with heavy lift capabilities. Other products available include custom-made boxes, crates, skids, and corrosion control solutions. DC Transport was founded in 1991 to meet the growing needs of their customers and provide transportation services throughout North America. From container drayage to super heavy haul loads, DC Transport can help you move just about anything. Go to dcexport.com for more info and to get in touch. dcexport.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Important programming note. Please, everyone, clear your schedules on Wednesday.
Why?
John Cass tweeting out a brilliant Dan Proft column on your rising property taxes and the politicians who feed on them is coming to johncassnews.com on Wednesday.
Oh, I just got to tingle up my spine.
Okay, Chris Matthews.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll talk to former federal and state prosecutor George Perry about the curious timing of the new Hunter Biden indictments. 8:08.
Today, clouds, a high of 38 degrees. It's now 8 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
He won't be speaking out from outside the courtroom later this hour. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Instead, former President Trump changed his mind. He'll not take the witness stand again, defending the Trump Organization on trial in New York. Here's Fox's Jill Nato.
The former president said he's decided against testifying for a second time at his civil fraud trial. He posted online that he very successfully and conclusively testified last month, and there's no need for him to do it again. He also said, I and my very successful company did nothing wrong.
The Democratic Attorney General, Letitia James, says the Trumps misled banks in transactions. The judge has already ruled it was fraud. Hunter Biden's lawyers expected today to file paperwork in federal court in Delaware trying to get felony gun charges dismissed days after the president's son was indicted on tax evasion charges. There are more than 10,000 power outages in Tennessee after the weekend tornadoes that left 6 people dead, more than 80 others injured as the war in Gaza rages. The day after Israel said 20 of the 137 hostages Hamas is holding are dead.
Israeli forces continue to push deeper into the Gaza Strip behind me, focusing their efforts on the Jabalia neighborhood in northern Gaza overnight. A reconnaissance unit operating in that area. They are engaged in close quarters combat.
Fox's Trey Inks near the border. Israel is also attacking Khan Yunis in the south amid UN warnings of a humanitarian catastrophe for Palestinian civilians. A U.S. military aid package for Israel and Ukraine bundled together remains held up at the Senate as Republicans demand more be done to secure the border to stop yet another record surge of illegal immigration. GOP Senator Roger Marshall tells Fox.
Since Joe Biden became president, 10 million people have crossed the border illegally. And this is why FBI Director Wray is saying we've never had a more unsecure situation right now.
A lot of Americans will hit the road for Christmas and or New Year's Eve. AAA estimates 115 million of us will travel over a 10-day holiday period, the second most since 2000. America's listening to Fox News.
28 degrees in Chicago. It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A trial date expected to be set today for the alleged Highland Park parade shooter Robert Crimo III. Last month, Crimo III's father, Robert Crimo Jr., began serving a 60-day sentence after he pled guilty to 7 misdemeanor counts of reckless conduct. A person was found dead after a fire in a Northside apartment early this morning. Chicago police say they responded around 2 a.m. to a fire at an apartment complex in the 1900 block of West Fargo. Authorities are trying to determine what caused a massive fire at the abandoned Emerson High School in Gering, Indiana. No one was hurt. The school was known for the 1927 student body boycott after 18 African-American students were transferred to the school. The school closed in 2008. The FBI says a search is underway for a man who robbed a bank in Waukegan Saturday afternoon. The FBI agents investigating say the robbery happened at a Bank of America branch in the 900 block of South Waukegan Road. Cause of a residential building fire in Chicago's Woodlawn neighborhood is under investigation. The blaze started last night in the 22-story apartment block in the 6200 block of South Stony Island Avenue. No injuries were reported. Former NHL player and coach Tony Granato said on social media last night that he's been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and is taking a leave of absence from his television work. The 59-year-old Granato posted that he will begin treatment this week. Granato grew up in a hockey family in Downers Grove with sister Cammie, the first woman inducted into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. Brother Don, the head coach of Buffalo. Granato was fired in March as coach at his alma mater, Wisconsin, after 7 seasons. The Bears are on a winning streak for the first time this season after upsetting the Lions 28-13 at Soldier Field. Capitals beat the Blackhawks last night 4-2, and the Bulls back in action tonight as they take on the Bucks in Milwaukee, riding a 4-game win streak. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. Their team of veteran consultants know how to reduce costs and grow new revenue streams, all without having to hire on-site professionals. Visit Turnkey.pro. That's Turnkey.pro. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
There's another energy merger in the works. Occidental Petroleum is buying oil and gas producer Crown Rock for $12 billion. Also, Occidental is increasing the dividend it pays investors. Investment firms with partial ownership of Macy's are reported to be working on a takeover of the retailer. Arc House Management and Brigade Capital Management are interested in taking Macy's private. Cigna has decided not to pursue a merger with Humana. The Wall Street Journal says the two companies could not agree on financial terms for the deal. Shareholders were not on board. Cigna shares have dropped nearly 10% since the Wall Street Journal reported late last month that the merger could be announced by the end of the year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2024? Yeah, that sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560, The Answer, wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you can have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost, there is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been blessed to have a wonderful career for a lot of years. People still come up to me all the time, and they go, "How are you, Kathy Lee? How's your va-va-voom?" And I laugh with them, and I tell them, still going strong, still taking my balance of nature every day, and telling all my friends and loved ones to do the same. Because it's balance of nature, changing the world, one life at a time.
Celebrate Christmas with us. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code KLG.
Why should the Federal Reserve have so much power over your IRA or 401k? Whether they create a new bubble with low interest rates or pop the last bubble with high interest rates, a group of unelected government officials has no business deciding your future. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is just one more reason why I recommend a physical gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Because precious metals are the best way to maintain your financial independence. And now you can hold gold inside of a tax-advantaged account. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold IRA company I trust, so text PROTECT to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
8:09. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Outbound Eden, stop and go Montrose to Niles Center. It's 20 minutes out to Lake Cook Road. The Kennedy in 30 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike on the outbound side, stop and go between Costner and First Avenue. Outbound, it is 30 minutes to Manheim, 40 minutes out to Route 390. Dan Ryan in 27 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Oak Lawn, 93rd southbound between Cicero and 50th Avenue remains closed due to a serious head-on collision. A crash being investigated. It's 8:10, time to call Permaseal at 800-421-7325. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, considerable cloudiness. Our high today, 38. Cleared to partly cloudy tonight, low 30. Sunny to partly cloudy for tomorrow, the high again at 38. And then plenty of sun on Wednesday. High Wednesday afternoon, 41. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
28 at O'Hare. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. How much does baby boy Hunter owe in taxes? Well, listen to the big guy talk about it.
over $1.3 billion.
I know.
I don't.
I
That's
kept
a lot.
listening to that this weekend, laughing.
That's a lot. I actually, he was talking about his investment, meaning your money, the amount of money he spent on rail infrastructure in this country to union guys in Vegas. But
Yeah, and everyone's wearing those Build Back Better T-shirts and
Yeah.
hats. Oh, wait, they're not. And they're
Million-
not even mentioning Bidenomics anymore because it's
billion,
a joke.
300 million, trillion.
Trillion, billion.
It's a lot. On the indictment that came down against baby boy Hunter last week.
The smartest person President Biden knows, by the way. Remember?
That's right. Jonathan Turley had a good column on this over at the Post, New York Post, of course. The steps taken by Hunter to evade taxes, like the $1 million roughly he spent on strippers and sex clubs and stuff. The steps Hunter took to evade taxes are impressive, but not nearly as impressive as the efforts by the Justice Department to evade any direct implications for his father. The indictment is a marvel of invasion, writes Georgia Washington law prof. Jonathan Turley. So he, number of things he brings up. One, which we've talked about quite a bit, of course, the allowance of the statute of limitations to run on other tax evasion by David Weiss. Also, the failure to charge Hunter Biden as illegally operating as an unregistered foreign agent. The Justice Department added a charge to the indictment of Senator Bob Menendez, saying he ran afoul of FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act. Of course, that was used against Trump associate Paul Manafort, too.
Exactly.
But he writes that the problem with charging Hunter with FARA, a FARA violation, is obvious. It opens up questions about the millions of dollars going to the Biden family from foreign sources, a topic that Attorney General Merrick Garland has spent years avoiding. And he's done a nice job. He also makes this point. By focusing on tax evasion alone rather than the source of the money, Weiss avoids any direct reference to the focus of the influence peddling used to raise these millions of dollars. That would be Mr. 10%, the big guy. As Turley concludes, it takes perfect aim to avoid any contact. Nicely tailored indictment from that paragon of prosecution, David Weiss. Sure. Right. Byron Donalds, the congressman from Southwest Florida.
He's your congressman, right?
He is. Boy, talk about an upgrade. I went from Danny Davis to Byron Donalds. That is an upgrade.
Woo! Yes, it is. Wow.
Anyway, he was on with Bart Roma yesterday, also addressing the curious timing of this new indictment. A week before Hunter Biden's appearance was demanded by the House Oversight Committee, subpoenaed for behind closed doors DEP. Listen to Byron Donalds.
I'm just wondering if the timing of this indictment on Hunter Biden is a partly cover-up, because the DOJ had this information. They've been sitting on this for a long time, but they decided to indict Hunter Biden the weekend before he was supposed to go under oath in a closed-door testimony.
Look, I totally agree. The timing is suspect. And let's take a step back. His attorney, Abby Lowell, says that, the only reason why he got indicted is because his last name is Biden. No, Abby, the only reason that it took so long for him to be indicted is because his last name is Biden and because House Republicans uncovered this web of corruption surrounding Joe Biden that implicates Hunter Biden and James Biden. And so that is the reason why it's taken so long for this to occur.
Yeah, we're supposed to get that vote on an impeachment inquiry, formal impeachment inquiry this week as well. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined again by George Perry, former federal and state prosecutor, regular contributor to the American Spectator. He blogs at knowledgeisgood.net. George, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, good to be with you.
So let's start with the timing piece of it and then get to the substance of the indictment. Do you find the timing of this happening just before Hunter was commanded to appear curious at all?
Not really. I mean, Hunter could take the fifth at any time with or without these charges pending. So I'm not particularly troubled by the timing. I'm certainly troubled by the content of the indictment and the fact that you've got a prosecutor who didn't even want to bring the indictment in the first place. Those are bigger issues than the one raised by the congressman.
I mean, it's not that Hunter Biden would likely comply with the subpoena. He wanted to do an open hearing as opposed to a closed-door DEP, which is the process that has been used for every other person who's been called to testify. What's the play there? Hunter, through his attorney, Abby Lowell, offering to testify at an open hearing but not behind closed doors. What's he doing there?
Well, usually you would expect that they would want to testify behind closed doors. Lowell, frankly, I wish I could answer that question because I don't understand what Lowell's doing. I know that with Lowell claiming that these charges would not have been brought if Hunter's last name wasn't Biden, I think he's laying the foundation for a pardon by Joe, because they're saying already that this is nothing but MAGA Republicanism gone wild. And so I could see Joe Biden coming forward at some point, if all else failed. In other words, if Weiss managed not to deep six this thing, I could see Biden coming forward saying, yeah, this is just all political. This is MAGA Republicanism, and I'm now pardoning my son.
Well, no. He has said repeatedly, even on Friday, KJP was, he sticks by his original statement that he will not pardon his son.
Well, we'll see what happens after the election. The question is, can he avoid trial before the election?
Yes, he can.
Mm-hmm.
He can.
Yeah.
How convenient.
Look, understand this. You have a prosecutor here, this guy Weiss, who 4 months ago tried to bury this tax case along with every other criminal act Hunter Biden has ever committed in this sweetheart, no jail demeanor plea deal on the gun charge down in Delaware. That's the prosecutor you're dealing with. That's the avenging angel who is prosecuting Hunter Biden on these tax charges. So this case is not going to get priority treatment by anybody, especially in this Justice Department with Merrick Garland at the helm.
Well, and with respect to the volunteering to testify in an open hearing but not behind closed doors, Abby Lowell knows what the protocol is for the House Oversight Committee, what it's been for every other witness. He knows that Republicans will object. He knows that if Hunter defies a subpoena, he can be held in contempt of Congress, but what does that really mean? It's not like he's going to be prosecuted by the Justice Department. He's not Steve Bannon, for God's sakes. So it's the appearance of being willing to cooperate, knowing that, but essentially being unwilling to cooperate, right? I mean, is that possible?
Well, that's possible. I mean, you're talking about political calculations that are way above anything I ever had to deal with as a prosecutor and defense lawyer. I only handled ordinary criminal cases involving mobsters and dope dealers. So those guys weren't concerned about the political ramifications of the charges. So I'm afraid I'm just a dry hole when it comes to those calculations.
Yeah, well, I mean, those guys were probably a lot more sophisticated than the influence peddling operation these hillbillies from Delaware were running.
Well, the Biden family around here, and I'm just outside Philadelphia, so I've been following the antics of the Biden family for decades. It was no secret that these guys were a bunch of crooks. He cultivated this Scranton Joe Biden, just a regular guy image, but the people who were paying attention, and these are my friends who are professional politicians, have been saying for the last 30 years, Joe Biden is a crook, and sooner or later it's going to catch up with him. Well, they're right, he's a crook, but I don't think even with this indictment, I don't think anything has caught up with him.
And the prospect of a plea, or maybe even another question, why they couldn't come to some sort of plea arrangement here. He can't plead out, right? I mean, he can't plead out because it would be incumbent upon Weiss then to say, well, now we have to go follow the money and we have to talk about where the money flowed when it came to Hunter. And that's not something he can testify to because it would implicate Mr. 10%, the big guy. So he's got to go the distance here and take whatever punishment is meted out, right?
Well, yeah, and keep in mind, this case landed in the courtroom of a Trump-appointed federal judge. So if they go to do a plea deal, they're going to have some real problems on their hands, because that judge, I'm anticipating, would just not roll over and let Abby Lowell write the script for the plea agreement, or would endorse a plea agreement without challenging what Abby Lowell and Weiss are going to collude on. So the thing that struck me about the indictment was it's kind of like this money that Hunter got just fell out of the sky. There was no mention whatsoever about influence peddling, which was really the only product that Hunter Biden had to sell, which was access to his father. It doesn't talk about any of that. It's just like, well, Hunter Biden's walking down the street and all of a sudden millions of dollars just rain down on his head. And it's got nothing to do with anything other than Hunter. And if you read the indictment, and God help me, I read all 57 pages, it talks about Hunter Biden being a Georgetown and Yale educated lawyer.
Yes.
Like he's got some skill set, some extraordinary skill set. The guy to me comes across as somebody who really knows how to have a good time with hookers and dope. So
well, yeah, he spent $5 million on crack, new teeth, prostitutes, hookers, cigars, and so much more. I mean, what's not to love? He sounds like a fun guy.
He likes to party.
Speaking as a fellow Hoya, I'm so proud of Hunter. Look, when you put this thing into context, go back to when the Hunter Biden laptop was swallowed up by the FBI. You got the FBI, you got the Department of Justice, you got Weiss, you got all these people who are supposed to be going after the guy, doing everything they can to make this stuff go away. And the only reason we're here is because you had two IRS whistleblowers who came forward before Congress and said, the Justice Department did the best it could to just kill this case off. So there was an embarrassment factor that compelled Weiss to say basically, oh, all right, we'll file this thing, but we're not going to do much with it. And I'm confident that Weiss is not going to push this case. He's not going to come after Hunter hammer and tongs. He's just going to go through the motions. And if push comes to shove, Joe, despite all of his promises, will come forward and say, you're not going to do this to my kid because this is just MAGA Republicans making trouble. So,
well, as Jonathan Turley said, you have to have perfect aim to avoid all these targets, starting with the big guy, which Weiss and Garland have ably done to this point. George Perry, former federal and state prosecutor, regular contributor to the American Spectator. He blogs at knowledgeisgood.net. George, thanks as always.
Okay, great being with you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you have a home remodeling project you'd love to get done? This is your opportunity to lock in this year's pricing with Chicago's Design Build Dream Team. Forever Remodeling is now offering exceptional savings. Simply sign on by December 31st to avoid any price increases next year. At Forever Remodeling, their expert designers and installers will turn your dreams into reality. Act now and you'll not only protect yourself from future price increases, but also beat the rush and secure a preferred spot in their schedule. Call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. Highly skilled to design and build.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
And this is Brian Duncan, co-founder of Signature Bank. We wish you the very best this holiday season from Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
We're doing it. We're getting closer to our goal to feed children in Latin America and the Caribbean, and we're teaming up once again with our partners and good friends at Food for the Poor. They're a faith-based nonprofit relief organization. They work directly with their partners on the ground in Latin America and the Caribbean to operate feeding centers. And these feeding centers are just a vital part of these communities when they don't have social services or government programs to rely on or food pantries. I mean, think about it. Could you really be hungry in Illinois or in the United States of America? There's always a church or a food pantry somewhere where you can get a meal. Can't get that in certain countries, and that's where Food for the Poor comes in. We're asking for a one-time donation of $100. That would feed 2 children for a year. Well, why not kick in $320 and feed 8 children? The impact your gift can have is immense. So the number to call is 844-862-4673, 844-862-4673, or visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor.
And if you're a business owner or you make the marketing decisions for a business, please consider becoming a business benefactor. Yep, we're doing that program again this year. This is how it works. Your business makes a tax-deductible gift of $2,500 to Food for the Poor. And AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air on our station, prime broadcast hours, Monday to Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. It's the best marketing deal in all of Chicago radio, best advertising deal. And at the same time, you're providing life-saving food for a year for more than 62 children in Haiti. To become a business benefactor, just call Ann Jeanette. She's our general sales manager, and she can be reached at 847-472-8951. And you can join other businesses in Chicagoland who've signed up, including Jeff Tischler, author of High Tech versus the Highest Tech, Chris Jacobs with Century 21 Circle in Inverness, Marshall Pierce and Company, fine jewelry and luxury watches, MS Consulting, and many other businesses. To join them, again, call our general sales manager. Her name is Ann Jeanette. Her phone number, 847-472-8951.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been blessed to have a wonderful career for a lot of years. People still come up to me all the time, and they go, "How are you, Kathy Lee? How's your va-va-voom?" And I laugh with them, and I tell them, still going strong, still taking my balance of nature every day, and telling all my friends and loved ones to do the same. Because it's balance of nature, changing the world, one life at a time.
Celebrate Christmas with us. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code KLG.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Be sure to schedule your health assessment with my friends at Low T Center. They offer the convenience of physician-monitored, self-inject, at-home testosterone treatments with an average payment of $150 a month cash pay, including labs and medication. If you don't live near a Low T Center or just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. That's Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, can you believe a Chicago Democrat wants to ban a book ban?
Yeah, Alderman Ray Lopez joins us at 8:38 to talk about yet another curious curriculum choice inside CPS, 8:38.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan at 8:30. Here are our top stories on AM 560. The Answer. Israeli forces are battling Palestinian terrorists in Gaza's 2 largest cities. Israel today pledging to keep fighting until it removes Hamas from power, dismantles its military capability, and enforces return of all hostages taken by terrorists during the Hamas October 7 surprise attack. Central Tennessee residents and emergency workers are digging out from devastating weekend storms that killed 6 and toppled houses, cutting power to tens of thousands. A trial date is expected to be set today for the Highland Park parade shooter Robert Cremo III. Prosecutors say Cremo killed 7 and injured dozens. Last month, Cremo's father began serving a 60-day sentence after pleading guilty to 7 misdemeanor counts of reckless conduct. The annual celebration honoring Our Lady of Guadalupe begins this morning. Thousands have already started, even though official celebrations kick off later this afternoon. A person was found dead after a fire in a Northside apartment early this morning. Chicago police responded around 2 a.m. to a fire at a complex in the 1900 block of West Fargo. The man was pronounced dead at the scene. Police have not released an identity. The Bears on a winning streak for the first time this season, upsetting the Lions 28-13 at Soldier Field. Justin Fields threw for 223 yards and a touchdown.
I mean, at that point, you want to convert because I think it was 4th and 12. So that's only a 5-yard penalty. So did a great job of front protecting. I think Ted did a great job selling it and stuff like that. DJ ran up the ball hard. We practiced that, each and every week. So it was great execution by everyone.
Chicago visits surging Cleveland next Sunday. Capitals over the Blackhawks 4-2. Bulls take on the Bucks in Milwaukee tonight, riding a 4-game winning streak. And the White Sox getting depth at catcher, trading for Braves backstop Max Stassi on Saturday. 8:32 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago this Christmas season on their spectacular annual holiday tour. And AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the Allstate Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-299-7878. That's 800-299-7878. 800-299-7878.
Here's something for all you gentlemen that haven't gotten your special someone a holiday gift yet. This Christmas, Pajamagram has your back with a deluxe gift set for that special lady in your life. This gift set includes the smooth satin nightgown and robe, plus a free satin eye mask, all wrapped in an elegant satin keepsake bag. That's 4 gifts delivered right to your door, ready to go under the tree. She'll love it. And what about the other wonderful women you'd love to spoil this holiday season? Whether it's your wife, sister, daughter, or your mom, Pajamagram has you covered. Go to Pajamagram.com and see all they have to offer, including luxurious velvet sets, cozy signature fleece sets, matching couple and family sets, and so much more. Make your gift even more special by adding a name or monogram to any of their personalized pajamas. Everyone loves pajamas, and a pajamagram is the perfect way to treat someone to a little relaxation. Visit Pajamagram.com today.
It's 8:35. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and let's look at the roads, a service of Dell Technologies, and their holiday event. It's Alienware's biggest sale of the year for a limited time. Go beyond performance on select gaming laptops featuring Intel Core processors. Shop now at alienware.com/deals. This morning, we're looking at minor delays on the outbound Edens, 21 to Lake Cook Road. You're jammed up right now at Old Orchard. Kennedy inbound, 35 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson in, 35 minutes. 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 25, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Oak Lawn, 93rd southbound between Cicero and 50th, still shut down as a head-on collision is being investigated there. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds and a high of 38 today, clear to partly cloudy and 30 overnight. 28 right now. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. To paraphrase the old saw that personnel is policy, personnel in K through 12 is also curriculum. And that's part of what is being imposed upon kids in K through 12. So amid all the discussion of this book and that book, the teachers themselves, everywhere, not every teacher, but it's a issue virtually everywhere. Like Glencoe District 35, the West School in Glencoe. Meet fourth grade teacher Nathan Lyon. He has some recommendations. He happily posts on social media. In fact, his Instagram and social media accounts are all about this. All about making the classroom friendly for LGBTQ two-spirit plus kids.
All right, what's he doing?
Teachers, make your classroom LGBTQ plus inclusive from the very first day. This is tip number 8, so go back in my profile for other tips. I talked about assessing your language in another tip, but this one's all about like classroom practice. Are you lining up your students into boy and girl lines? And remember, when you do that, if a kid doesn't particularly identify strongly with either of those, it makes them have to kind of choose something that isn't true to them. So find other ways to line up or group your kids. It could be by their student numbers. It could be by their birthday months. Get creative, have fun with it, and you don't need to always center gender in your classroom.
Right.
They're 10.
You don't center gender by focusing on 10 and 11-year-olds identifying their fluidity. I mean, the idea too. I mean, just there's at least an 8-point plan that fourth grade teacher at Glencoe's West School has to make a classroom for 10, 11, 12-year-olds LGBTQ plus friendly. And it's funny, my classes growing up and going to St. Mike's and Wheaton and going to Bennett for high school, they were always LGBTQ plus friendly as well, as far as I knew, because we focused on other things. Like the stated objective of K through 12 education. It's remarkable, particularly given what we know about how well K through 12 government schools are doing in educating children per the state's report card. And of course in CPS, good God, 1 in 5 kids can read at grade level in CPS. Barely 1 in 6 can do math at grade level. And apparently we have an issue in CPS too. This was brought to our attention by Alderman Ray Lopez, who is the alderman for the 15th Ward. He's also a congressional candidate running in the primary against Chuy Garcia in Illinois' 4th. Alderman Lopez, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, good morning. Happy Monday to you both.
Same to you. And so what's the problem in the CPS schools, or at least one of them in your ward?
So students came to my office last week to share with me a book called Soul Survivor, which was being given to high school students at an alternative school, the Englewood Excel Academy, to read during what they call their 15-minute Drop Everything and Read program, designed to help encourage literacy and encourage reading among the students. But this book, a highly fictionalized book, deals with corrupt police, hypersexual situations, and my personal favorite, refers to all Mexicans in Little Village in a very derogatory way that I'm not going to say on the air, but also, aside from using familiar stereotypes and slurs, accuses all Mexicans of just being cocaine-selling illegals. And this is what they were encouraging their students to read without any kind of context or without any kind of curriculum to explain how this is stereotyping their newest population, which is the Mexican community growing in African American communities like Englewood.
So develop this a little bit more. I mean, you know, I'm not familiar with Soul Survivor. It hasn't bubbled up to our radar, at least mine, until this notice we got that you're having a press conference on the topic today with families of kids in the school. So is this sort of just like gratuitously stereotyping and denigrating Latinos, or is there a context that, you know, in the book that that provides some indication that some of the characterizations included in the book are inappropriate? You know what I mean? It's using this sort of to underscore characters that to speak like this as the bad guys.
No, I think this was designed to show and written and marketed as one African-American gentleman's experience in dealing with police and the Mexican community in the city of Chicago. Because also included our efforts to show that all police officers are corrupt or on the take, and how they are able, and how members of the community are able to sexually exploit women, particularly young girls. But all of this was given to students to read only in certain classrooms, only in certain homerooms, because they didn't want it to be shared with classes that had Latino students in them. And they also didn't allow parents to see this book because the books were not allowed out of the school. Students were given the book and required to turn it back in because they knew how salacious the material was. And when parents approached the school, you know, the academic coordinator for the building said, "This is about our people, and this is how we're going to educate our students about our people. This relates to our people." And being African American, the reference was quite clear to the parents and families who were trying to get an explanation. Now, I am thankful that the school immediately pulled the book the moment I called about it, but the very fact that they allowed such a piece of literature to be used and given out freely at the school without any kind of context, without any kind of academic curriculum to go with it, and without any full explanation to the parents as to what to expect or how to talk about this at home, shows me that there's just a very clear disconnect in CPS when it comes to their material.
Are other schools reading this book, though? Sorry for interrupting, but I mean, is this an isolated incident, or are kids given this book in other schools?
You know, that's what we're trying to learn now, to see if this was just a local thing. But I think that what I'm trying to press upon parents is that you cannot assume that simply because the school that your children goes to is giving them something to read, that it is something that you want them to read or that they are being taught.
For sure. Oh, man. Yeah, well, that is an exclamation point. No, for sure. But so is the book, I'm just trying to get more of a handle on this. Is it essentially the same as some of the other race hustling tomes that, you know, the honky is every honky is a white supremacist who is stained with the original sin of slavery and they're, you know, blue-eyed devils and all that, and that's how you should consider white people as your antagonists? And is it sort of the same thing here? It's like Latinos are interlopers and bad people and they exploit the black community. Is that sort of what I'm getting?
That's a fair assessment, and I think that when you see a community that is seeing a rise in a Latino population, when that is your go-to book, now you are intentionally pitting young students who otherwise would be just happy to be in class together. You're now pitting against them. Like they were learning Spanish profanity and using it down the halls because it was part of a book that they had been given, and the faculty unaware of what the word was and that it was being targeted at certain female members of the school simply because of their ethnicity is outrageous to me.
Right, and as you say, this is just like, here, read this, and it's just immersing yourself in this. We're not going to have a discussion about it. There's not going to be interaction. It's just sort of cheap indoctrination.
It's like giving the terrorist handbook to a bunch of teenagers and expecting them not to blow up things after they're done reading it. You wouldn't do that. And you need to provide context to impressionable minds so they understand what exactly they're reading, how it is written, from what lens it is being presented. Otherwise, all you're doing is giving them a handbook from which they can start discriminating and harassing their newest neighbors with the language in which to do it.
Yeah, but you know about Governor Pritzker's book ban. Like, no books can be banned in the state of Illinois.
And you know what? Fine, then don't ban it, but you don't have to encourage it to be shared in our schools at the same time.
Well,
or if you're going to have something that is very controversial, provide some context, explanation, and discussion on it. Because when the school was pressed as how are you presenting this to students and so that they could understand the context, to quote the president of Harvard and Penn State, they're not.
Yeah, right.
There's no context. There's no context to it. You're just simply giving people very harassing language to read and telling them to have fun with it.
And that is and by the way, I mean, I know you're not attempting to characterize that way, but let's be clear. The Pritzker book ban, so-called anti-book ban, is a book ban. He is the book banner. He is not banning the banning of books. He is the book banner because you will read these identitarian screeds and we will exclude anything that would seek to uplift the kids' understanding of Western civilization. Pritzker and the teachers union, these are the book banners because they exclude anything that is not consistent with their identitarian politics. Is that fair?
Just imagine as your monologue into the segment, you know, the teacher who wanted to make sure that you had LGBTQ triple plus rating in your classroom. Now, if this were a book that were harassing LGBTQ youth, and I say this as a gay man, I'm sure the outcry would be instantaneous. But because it deals with a group that everyone feels that they can marginalize equally, nobody seems to be alarmed by the fact that this is something that's been put to our students and their impressionable minds.
Have you had a conversation with Stacey Davis Gates and the CTU about this?
I believe she's busy trying to pay off her utility bills, so no, I haven't had a chance.
Oh, her too? I mean,
Yeah,
she and Brandon Johnson are running the mayor's office. They've never run a business. They have no idea what they're doing, way in over their head. And speaking of Brandon Johnson, and it's in your ward, the tent city that is no more. Tell us what's happening.
Well, the tent city is in the neighboring 12th ward, but it's 5 blocks from my house. Okay. And I'm thankful that Pritzker stepped up, but I think he stepped up to avoid state liability because state, city, and county money were all being used to fund that place. But that's a $6 million debacle that we will not get our money back from. The mayor said our calls for resignations from the individuals who thought it was a great idea to put people on 6 inches of gravel above toxic soil. That's a good idea, and something not being serious. Clearly didn't read his 800-page report where the mayor's office and the departments responsible for trying to excavate the toxic soil literally forged documents just so they could dispose of the material they were removing from that site. That dirt that they were pulling out was so toxic, even landfills didn't want it. And the city, in essence, forged the core samplings at lesser contaminated locations on the site just so they could dispose of the material they were moving out. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
And we still don't have a plan. We still don't have a long or short-term plan. And he's still refusing to hold this administration responsible. We saw Mayor Rick Adams just said, don't expect anything from the federal government. They all just came back from Washington together. But yet it's, you know, a bed of roses as far as Mayor Johnson's concerned when it comes to the migrants. And it's only going to get worse for our finances. It's only going to get worse on our communities where the migrant asylum seekers are becoming more and more emboldened with what they can do criminally. I just got emails today of things going on at McGage Park. And that were just the amount of criminal activity and prostitution going on is astounding, and we can't get this administration to take it seriously. You know, they keep telling us to respect their human dignity. Well, respect our communities, respect our children, respect the neighborhoods who try to do the right thing, and now are dealt with an administration unwilling to hold these migrants accountable for what they're doing that's not legal or ethical or respectable in our communities. I asked the mayor to show me that he gave his 60-day notices to my Gage Park residents, and I have yet to get an answer because I think that policy was just for a headline and not something actionable from his administration.
So you're running in the primary against Chuy Garcia for that congressional seat, and I just wonder how you think that campaign is going, because it's such an interesting challenge. It's one we rarely see, where someone is challenging an incumbent Democrat socialist essentially from the center, as opposed to trying to get left of him, as if that was even possible. It's sort of, to me, interesting, because it's going to serve as sort of a litmus test to see whether or not there is a burgeoning majority of people that are commonsensical when it comes to the topics that we've covered, and that would certainly include public safety too. And I just wonder how the reception is, because Chuy's this sort of man of always in the Latino community and in the Democrat power structure, and you have your own base of support, and I just wonder, to some extent, what's happening in the Latino community, if there's political movement towards the center there.
Well, I think there's a definite split within the Latino community and the larger 4th District as a whole. Individuals are tired of having a congressman there who speaks a lot but doesn't do much for his residents, and in particular, someone who says that he's for immigration and for the immigrant community, while leapfrogging over them for the newest arrivals, while ignoring those who have been here waiting for a pathway to citizenship for decades or almost their entire life. What I think that we're seeing is that there's a schism particularly forming in the Latino community, those who support him and those who support me, those who believe in common sense, who are not afraid to say that they are voters of faith, that are voters who believe in safe neighborhoods. And then there's the other flip side, who want to enable criminality and make excuses for everything else that's going on in the world and write it off as just social ills or someone else's fault. And I think we're going to have a very robust discussion on this, because we are clearly two opposite ends of the magnet. And at a recent town hall we had nearly 95 people show up on a cold, rainy, sleety night who wanted to hear about solutions, who wanted to hear straight discussion without any sugarcoating on the problems and some of the solutions that we can bring from Washington. We know Washington is very dysfunctional right now, and people understand that when the House is nearly evenly divided, it'll be those few in the center that'll be the driving force of what happens out of the U.S. House of Representatives. Chuy is not going to be from the center. He's not going to be trying to unite those moderate individuals who are leading the charge forward. I am. And I know that in doing so, that's going to lift the entire district, if not the city and the state. And that's what people want right now. They're tired of excuses. They're tired of people trying to pontificate from their self-righteous perches while living under the do as I say, not as I do mentality. And very thankfully, we'll bring that reign to an end in the next 100 days.
All right, we'll be watching. It's going to be very interesting. Ray Lopez, 15th Ward Alderman, and as we were just discussing, Democrat challenger for the nomination in Illinois 4, a congressional nomination in Illinois 4. Ray Lopez, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Everyone knows the old saying, nothing lasts forever. Well, whoever said that obviously never bought a timeshare. Not only do your maintenance fees and assessment fees go on forever, they go up forever. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Over 10 years ago, I was a timeshare salesman. But once I saw the dark side of the business, I quit. I started helping folks get out of their timeshares. Since then, we've helped over 30,000 families by getting them out of bad timeshares. If your timeshare agreement goes on forever, if you were told timeshares are a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, you have questions, we have the answers. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-839-8484. That's 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
Oh, come on in. Let's be honest with each other. Have you gotten your girlfriend, wife, Maybe both. Significant other, anything for Christmas yet? Probably not, because most of you men procrastinate. Yes, you do. Well, may we suggest a gift from pajamagram.com. Go to pajamagram.com, and there it is. You know what it is? It's the satin set. Oh, yes, the satin. The smooth seduction satin. SSS, they call it. You've got the satin nightie, the satin robe, the satin eye mask, and it's put in a keepsake satin bag. What's not to love? Silky, sensuous, new word, and it glides over the skin. You know, Dan, I got a text message saying that they should offer silky satin shorts for you for Christmas. What do you think about that? Would you wear them?
No.
Okay,
No.
that ends that discussion.
Yeah.
Go to Pajamagram.
I like to go on natural since you asked.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go to pajamagram.com. Check out all of the options that they have. If you have a dog or cat, yes, they have family pajamas too. It's so cute. Pajamagram.com and tell them Dan and Amy sent you. Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2023 Food for the Poor campaign.
As many of you already know, Food for the Poor is a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
Right now, millions of families and children are experiencing the devastating effects of economic decline and rising food prices.
For many, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners who are providing life-saving food relief on the ground. But in order to get the food to those who need it, Food for the Poor needs your help. Thanks to a generous match, your one-time gift of just $80 can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year.
To make that gift, just call 844-862-4673.
Visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner, and thank you so much for your generosity.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been blessed to have a wonderful career for a lot of years. People still come up to me all the time, and they go, "How are you, Kathy Lee? How's your va-va-voom?" And I laugh with them, and I tell them, still going strong, still taking my balance of nature every day, and telling all my friends and loved ones to do the same. Because it's balance of nature, changing the world, one life at a time.
Celebrate Christmas with us. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code KLG.
AM 560, The Answer.
Okay, another day of broadcast excellence here at AM 560. Thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer. We are back bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Have a glorious day. Now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
A man serving life for the murder of Riley Fox dies in custody. The Blackhawks fall to the Capitals. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
More worry here about what's happening in Gaza. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This is an especially critical time in our work together to keep our communities safe.
Attorney General Merrick Garland at a violent crime reduction summit in Indianapolis saying we must be vigilant amid rising threats of terrorism as Israel's military keeps up the attacks in Gaza. And government spokesman Elan Levy says they won't stop until they destroy Hamas.
Getting all the hostages home and making sure that the Gaza Strip can never threaten the people of Israel again.
Israel says 20 of the 137 hostages Hamas has in Gaza are